Well, welcome along to Tour Speedway here in the eastern part of the city, this 650-metre four-turn oval circuit with 9-degree banking, and we're gearing up to our first semi-finals and the final for the Elite 2 NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. It's round 8 of the championship that is coming up, and this circuit that was first used in 2012. We didn't have it on the calendar last year, but we're here for our 6th annual visit. A fantastic circuit, so let's get Bobby Labonte to show us around a few laps of the oval.
Okay, this is the oval track at Tours France, coming off of turn 4, start-finish line, and going into turn 1. It's really tricky going into turn 1, and this is coming off of turn 2. It's got a dip off the corner. The wall's right there to the right. Another dip going into 3. You got to run the bottom of the racetrack, back in the gas, off of 4, very slippery. Front straightaway, back into 1 again, off camber, back to camber, back in the gas, very, very hard. The car's got a dip to the right. It wants to go to the left, and then if the right rear falls out and you start over again, and you're just hugging the bottom of the racetrack, traffic's going to be really, really difficult here. Comes out. Watch out. Whoa. See there? Look, I'm on the bottom, but I don't have much room. So this is going to be really tricky right here to try to pass cars during the day.
A fantastic insight from 2000 Monster Energy NASCAR champion Bobby Labonte, who's here for the full season with us in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. And well, as he suggested, you know, it might only have 4 corners, but on the basis of it's only 650 metres long, it's a very physical circuit for the drivers. It's very difficult to overtake, and we saw some great racing action from both the Elite 1 and the Elite 2 division here yesterday. So let's look back at some of yesterday's highlights. Some great scenes from yesterday here at Tour for what is the World Oval Challenge weekend. A subtly different format. What we see are cars heading out for 2 semi-finals. We'll have semi-final 1 for the Elite 2 competitors, semi-final 2, and the top 10 from each of those semi-finals will go through to the final, where not only will they fight it out for the main championship points that are available in round 8 of the championship this weekend, but also for the Elite 2 drivers, there's a €2,500 prize to look forward to. Joining me in the commentary box for the semi-finals, I'm delighted to say it's his first time in the commentary box, so welcome along. It's the reigning Elite 2 champion, concentrating exclusively on Elite 1 for this year, Toma Ferrando. Welcome along, Toma.
Hello, everyone. Really happy to be here to comment the semi-finals. That's a great race. I think wet race is going to be a good thing for the entertaining.
Yeah, well, it's a very valid point you make. We had a beautiful day here in the eastern part of Tour City yesterday. It was up to 34 degrees, but The weather forecast changed overnight. When we woke up this morning, it was raining. We've had some heavy rain this morning, so the circuit's damp.
Yeah. That's really funny to wake up and see that the weather changed. Everything goes well. I think during the testing, during the warm-up, every drivers enjoy to drive on track. So a good thing to try something else on two speedway.
You went out in the warm-up with wet tyres on, so is there much of a difference between the dry conditions and the wet?
No, it's really similar. We saw that the line on track is a little bit different. We are a little bit more outside than yesterday, but yeah, I think we're gonna see something else, and maybe a new way to choose the line on the cone rule.
Yeah, the cone rule. We'll come to the cone rule in a short while, because I like the cone rule. I like Cone Guy as well. He's become our hero this weekend. There is Ulysse Delceau, who had a great day yesterday, winning his semi-final, winning the final. And that car, the RDV competition number 3 Toyota Camry, has been the car to beat, because we saw Fred Gabillon claim a win in it in Elite 1 yesterday, and Ulysse Delceau claimed a win in the same car in Elite 2. Yeah,
the number 3 is really fast this weekend. I think it's a hard car to beat all season long, not only on two speedway, but maybe it's a good challenge to go and maybe fight with Fred on this afternoon race.
We're just working our way down through the grid at the moment. We've already seen Ulysse Delceau, number 3, on pole position. Number 90, Pedro Bonnet. Bonnet will line up alongside Gilles Linster, and we've just seen Justin Kuntz on row number 2. This is row number 3 that's coming up now, which is the number 77 Memphis Racing Chevrolet of Guillaume de Flandre. He sits there on the 3rd row of the grid, and alongside him is the number 2 Alex Caffey Racing Toyota Camry. You can just see it to the left-hand side of your screen now, which is Kenko Miura. There is Guillaume de Flandre. We can see him sitting patiently inside the car, waiting on board the number 77 car. He is a race winner this year, Guillaume de Flandre, last time out at Brands Hatch. He's on the 3rd row of the grid, and there's the car that's alongside him, which is Kenko Miura. Alex Caffey, ex-Formula 1 racer, leaning in through the window. The team manager and team owner chatting away to the Japanese driver, who has had a busy weekend racing in both Elite 1 and Elite 2 this weekend on what is a very physical circuit. We'll just guide you through the rest of the grid. Number 91 car, Tom Bonham, sitting there on the next row of the grid for Brax Racing. And there is Tom Bonham, the former world cycling champion. Had a good run yesterday until he was involved in an incident which dropped him down through the order. But otherwise, I was expecting good things from Tom. Just didn't get the luck yesterday. And alongside is the Racers Motorsport number 8 car in the hands of Nicolas Risitano, the Italian driver, who gives us a wave on the next row of the grid. And then we move down a row on the grid. That's where we see Francesco Parli, who went beautifully well yesterday. He's a rookie to this championship, but he won the Legend Trophy for the slightly older drivers in the field, and he has for company the all-light blue car, number 33 of Carmen Boix-Gilles, who won the Ladies' Cup yesterday, running with the same team, but it's a different car to we've seen her race throughout the course of the season, and those are the only cars we see on the grid, because unfortunately, joint championship leader coming into this weekend, Guillaume Dumoulin, the number 24 car, is not out, Thomas. He was, right up there in the championship standings last year. He was right up there in the championship standings this year, but as we saw from the highlights, he was involved in an incident yesterday which has put himself and Anthony Kumpen out for the weekend.
Yeah, that was a hard crash that I saw from beyond, because I was just here when they crashed. But Guillaume is a really fast driver. You have to be careful when we drive with him. Sorry. And yeah, I think he's a real contender for the next races.
I think you're right. I think he'll bounce back, but absolutely a big dent, because that happened in the Elite 1 race, which was the first race of yesterday in the final. So it put Anthony Kumpen out for the weekend, but Guillaume Dumoulin didn't even get to race. So that's a huge dent in his championship aspirations. He was runner-up to you last year, and well, that's as good as finished him for this year.
Yeah. We saw Guillaume really fast on oval track. He's a real contender, so it's a little bit a shame that he can't come back for today's races.
A quick question before we start to talk about how this format works, the length of the race, and the cone rule, which is a new rule that you may not be aware of if you didn't join us yesterday. It's damp out there. It's not wet. It's damp now. Towards the end of the race, those wet tyres that everybody are on are going to start to wear out a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's a safety option. to take the wet tires because it's only the semi-finals.
Yeah.
The most important is to do a great final. So to do that, you have to be safe to finish the semi-final and then go to the final. So I think it's the most safety option to take the wet tires.
Take the wet tire, but the car might be moving around a bit more towards the end of the race.
Yeah.
Because of course the right-hand side of the car gets loaded up through the banking.
I think the end of the race will be a really great show.
We look forward to. We don't doubt that for a sec. So this is a semi-final, which means it will be run over 35 green flag laps or a maximum of 20 minutes. So in other words, laps under the yellow flag do not count at all, so it should be 35 green flag laps or 20 minutes. Now, on some of the races, we've got the full distance in other ones, we've hit the time, the number of minutes before we get the laps completed. So off they go on to the first of 5 green flag warming up laps, and then we will go green for hopefully 35 laps of green flag racing. The cone rule is in operation, which means not for the start of the race, but for any safety car periods, the restart will be a 2x2 formation. Cone rule will apply. And what that means is that when the lineup is correct with 2 laps before we go green, the race director will call 1 lap to go. The lights will go out on the safety car and the flagman will show 1 lap to go, and there'll be a marker cone placed just where you can see the cars weaving now, slap bang in the middle of the circuit as they come out of turn number 4 it will be. And when the drivers get to the marker cone with 2 to go, the drivers have to decide, do they want to go to the left of the cone, which gives them the inside line for turn number 1 and 2, or do they want to gamble and go to the outside line? Now, if all of the cars, other than the car at the back, choose the inside line, the car at the back moves from the back of the grid to the very front for the restart. So places can be gained, as we saw. I like the cone rule, Thomas.
Yeah, that's a really great rule. When I was in a Bowman Gray a few years ago, I've tried already the cone rule, and it was really fun to see that even if you are at the back of the field, you can come back and then play for the win at the end of the race. So I think it's a really great rule to have on oval track.
Do you think anybody looking at the circuit might have gambled already and gone for slicks rather than wets?
If I was Paulie, because he started at the end of the field, I think I should try it, because even if we lapped car, we have the free pass.
Yeah. And
the free pass could be interesting to come back, and at the end of the race, it could be dry race.
Yeah.
So to have slick tires on could be a real advantage for the end of the race.
I agree. I think it's worth, if you're at the back of the grid, it's worth the gamble. You might not be quick at the beginning of the race, but by golly, are you going to be fast towards the end of it? Yeah. So yellow flag still waving as we continue the green flag warming up laps. Don't forget, this is just a semi-final. The top 10 cars go through to the final, and we may well see single file start for safety reasons, we gather from race control, so it won't be a 2x2 start. 1 to go is the indication given by the flagman, so usually now they'll be getting themselves into 2x2 formation, but I think in these tricky conditions, not everybody went out for free practice, but first time they've been on a damp track, safety reasons, not a bad call for single file start.
Yeah, I think it's a good reason to start in the single file. The safety on the oval track is really important. The walls are directly near to the tarmac, so I think it's important.
Here we go, we're about to go green. Ulysse Delso from pole position, Pedro Bonnet sitting behind him, and then the single file restart. Gilles Linster just tucks himself through into 3rd position. That wider line from Gilles Linster just heading in towards turn number 1. Everybody knows safely through the first corner. They charge down the very short straight and in towards turns 3 and 4, and already Ulysse Delso, by the look of things, has built a 4 or 5 car advantage after just 1 lap.
Yeah, since yesterday the 3 is really fast on the first lap. The first 2 corners are really important, and they do it well and take the advantage really fast.
If he can break away and build the advantage, then he'll be hoping that we go green, of course. If we get a safety car period, then all of that advantage he's got in the early stages will just diminish, but already you can see he's breaking away. The number 46 car of Justin Kuntz is in 4th place. He's got Guillaume de Flandre sitting there behind him. I could see from Guillaume de Flandre yesterday, and listening to a conversation he was having, he was a little bit disappointed with how things went yesterday, because he was sort of tagged and went into a spin, kept the car out of the wall, but that affected his race.
Yeah, but he's a real competitor. He wants to win every race. I think he's a good driver, and maybe he could do something well today.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. For the moment, he's sitting behind Justin Kuntz. He's under pressure from Kenko Miura, the Japanese driver, at the wheel of the number 2 car, the Toyota Camry, prepared by Alex Caffey Racing. Tom Bonnet is the next up, and Nicholas Risitano was looking very, very racy there.
Yeah, and Kenko has done a really great step during the few races. He does a really great step from last year. He's faster on every race, and I think it's good to see him on the front and maybe play some good results on the next races.
I think so, yeah. Kenko Miura is one that's impressed me. Of course, another driver that switched over from single-seaters, previously raced in the Asian Formula 3 Championship. There is the very fast-looking Nicholas Risitano, but he can't get past Tom Bonnet currently. So they're busy fighting away down towards the tail end of the field. But look at this, Gilles Linster doing a bit like Gilles did yesterday. He seems to be sort of bottling people up behind him, but just holding his line. And if you do that around here, it makes it very, very difficult to overtake.
Yeah. I think it's really hard to overtake on the inside on this oval. You got the cones on the inside that make it really hard to overtake.
Nicholas Risitano
that was close.
And a very, very good look heading in towards turn 3 on Tom Bonnet, but it is still the blue and Dayglow number 91 car of the Belgian that hangs on to the place. But Nicholas Risitano was almost there, wasn't he? And again, he's trying. He looks to have the quicker car, but he just can't get through.
Yeah, and it's the problem on this oval. Even if you're faster, you have to see the open door to goes. And I think the best solution to overtake is now to take the outside. I've tried it yesterday on restarts, and I think if the spotters does great work, we can overtake on the outside.
The thing is, if you overtake on the outside, you probably stand a better chance today in the damp conditions, because on the outside, as you suggest, that tarmac is less polished, it's less dew, so you get more grip, don't you?
Yeah, and the car, the track is really wet, so even with wet tires, you can go outside and have grip as inside.
Guillaume de Flandre has got the overlap on Justin Kuntz here, and this is going to be a change for 4th position. He's up the inside, heading in towards turn number 3. Nothing that Justin Kuntz can do about it. Now needs to close the door to prevent Kenko Miura, the number 2 Toyota Camry, squeezing his through pass. But Kuntz was a little bit untidy coming off turn number 4, and that's not only allowed Kenko Miura through, but the number 91 car of Tom Bonnet has gone through. So not a good lap from Justin Kuntz there.
Yeah, that was hard. We saw that what I was saying was wrong, because the outside was pretty slower than the inside. So you have to find a way to go inside.
Yeah, lessons learned for your race later on already here from the commentary box. He's nodding his head, is Tomo Ferrando. So poor old Justin Kuntz dropping now down towards the tail end of the field, and still under pressure from now the number 8 car of Nicholas Risitano, who's got a good run coming off turn 4. Can he squeeze his way round by the time he gets towards turn number 1? Yes, he can, yeah. So another place lost for the Racing Total car in the hands of the German, who in yesterday's final, we saw Justin Kuntz finished in 2nd place, so it's not quite going the way he wants in this semi-final. He's off the back at the moment. I think there might be another place change further back. There is, yeah. Nicholas Risitano now starting to pick a few people off here. He's got past Tom Bonnet. So Nicholas Risitano started at the back of the field. A couple of places gained. Looking at the speed, do you think he might be on slicks?
No. Everyone was in wet tires.
Were they, right?
But the pressure of tires could play a big part of this race. So I think his car is coming
good.
Good, yeah.
He started with a lower pressure. Now, because it's a wet tyre on and there's a lot more movement, the temperatures build up so quicker, so they probably started him with a... Yeah.
And we see it that faster than everyone, so I think they've done a really great job on the car during the warm-up, and we see it right now.
Yeah, here comes number 77, which is Guillaume de Flandre up the inside of Gilles Linster, and also Kenko Miura is going to follow him through. Nicholas Risitano is going to follow him through, and well, Gilles Linster just offline there, loses 3 spaces, might lose 4 actually, because Tom Bonnet is very close.
Yeah, and Risitano put the pressure on the number 2, and this is really interesting to see the battle with these three cars.
Good racing this one all of the time, while Ulysse Delceau leads the race by 10 seconds now. What a performance from Ulysse Delceau. So these are the cars in 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th position all together currently. Pedro Bonnet, the leading rookie in the field, sitting there in 2nd place. ahead of Guillaume de Flandre, Kenko Mura, and then the red machine, the number 8 Ford Mustang, in the hands of Nicolas Risitano. And can de Flandre get up the inside of Pedro Bonnet? No. I'm really impressed with the driving of Pedro Bonnet yesterday. His first overall podium, his first rookie win.
Yeah, he does a great operation to go on the outside. Move.
Yeah, it worked.
That was really really smart, and he's a great driver. I think he has he's really intelligent during the race, so he could do some good results today too.
I think once he's got the full rookie season out of the way, I think in years to come in Elite 2 he's going to be one to watch. Here comes Kenko Mura now, almost pushing Guillaume de Flandre around through turn number 4. Can't quite though squeeze his way through, so short of these straights. And also it's not only a short straight, we've spoken to a few of the drivers, it's the transition as you come off the bank onto the flat. It's quite a bump that unsettles the car.
Yeah, the track is really bumpy, so you have to be careful on wet track because you can slide at every moment. But we can see that yesterday and today the Brax cars are really hard to overtake. So.
Yeah, we've seen plenty of passes for position. Nicolas Risitano, I'm not sure whether he clipped a marker cone on the inside of the circuit there, because all of a sudden he's got a little bit of damage. We're now, only 10 laps away from the checkered flag as well, and this great fight going on for what is second and therefore backwards. 13 seconds is the lead advantage. Well, at the moment, 18 seconds is what it's taking to do a lap, so Ulysse Delceau is going to be catching the cars at the tail end of the field and about to lap them, and about to lap almost everybody.
Yeah, he's really fast today, and we're going to see if he can do it well on the final.
Change for place there, change for 4th position. The number 8 car of Nicolas Risitano through and ahead of Kenko Mura, and now looking to try and squeeze his way through and past Guillaume de Flandre. Can't quite do it. He's having a go though on the run towards turn number 1.
That was hard.
So Kenko Mura trying around the outside, but that is not quite going to work from here. Here comes Risitano again, looking up the inside, heading in towards turn 4. That small amount of damage he picked up a couple of laps ago that we spotted, just exposing that left front wheel, and de Flandre just instantly coming off turn 4 to cover the move, Tomo.
Yeah, that was a hard move because the car slide a lot. But we see that Risitano, he's trying to move forward and to pass Guillaume, so I think it's going to be a good battle.
Yeah, he just keeps looking for that inside line. Any gap at all that he thinks he can squeeze his way through, he will be there all of the time, whilst Guillaume de Flandre in 3rd place is trying to squeeze his way through past the blue car with the red flashes down the centre of it, which is the Brax Racing Ford Mustang. And we'll just have a quick look out of turn number 4. Down towards turn number 1 again, they thread their way, and we are now only 5 laps away from the checkered flag.
It could be easier to pass for Risitano because the car is smaller without bodywork.
Yeah, just slightly narrower, isn't it? Now that it's lost a bit of bodywork, it's sort of dragging the front bumper, a bit like Gianmarco Ercoli did in yesterday's race. So yeah. The gap needs to be smaller now. He can squeeze his way through. But what a fight it is, and Pedro Bonnet doing exactly what he did again yesterday, just making sure he gets cleanly off the corners, and therefore it's impossible for anybody else to squeeze his way through. And in 3rd place, number 77, the Chevy of Guillaume de Flandre is way too busy concentrating on what's going on in his mirrors at the moment, isn't he? Keeping Risitano behind.
Yeah, all the 4 cars are really on the mirror. They're always on the mirror. We can see Pedro being inside all the time. There's a contact here.
Risitano, yeah, almost. He just decided to keep his nose out of it, and now he's having another go. And again, Guillaume de Flandre just managing to close the door. It is the semi-final. If this were the final with 3 laps to go, I think there'll be different things going on.
Yeah. It's going to be different, but he has to be careful because we don't have the right to do a bump and run, so he has to be careful on what he does during the race.
Yeah, bump and run would mean that would attract the attention to the race director, I'm sure. But Nicolas Risitano has already, either way, he's had a good charge through the field, and this time he's got the inside line and he's able to squeeze his way through and past Guillaume de Flandre, who now needs to try and close the door on Kenko Mura. And Risitano now looking to try and get ahead of Pedro Bonnet, but can't quite do it as they head round through turn number 1, all of the time while Ulysse Delceau now has taken the checkered flag. So we are on the Final lap of the race. The checkered flag has gone out. Who's going to finish in second place? Is it going to be Pedro Bonnet, who will claim the rookie standings, or can Nicholas Risitano take the place? Not quite on the run to the flag. A great, I've got to say, other than Ulysse Delso, who romped away with a 13.5-second victory, that was a good race.
Yeah, yes. With great battles, we saw here that the spotters are really important on this track. All the information they give us can keep us away from troubles and to do safe races.
I can only imagine the amount of conversation that was going on continually between Nicholas Risitano and his spotter all of the time, because he gained what, 7 places, 8 places?
Yeah. Even Pedro and Guillaume de Flandre has a lot of information. Sometimes during races, I think it was in Venray with my spotter. He spoke by about 3 or 4 laps without stopping. So he has he's really important for us to speak with him all the time.
Critical on some circuits, not as important on others. So when we head to the likes of Hockenheim and in particular Zolder, the spotter can't really see much, can he?
Yeah. I think the spotter is important on every track because we can't see in the mirrors all the time, and if we want to be really efficient on track, we have to stay on the front. So
that's semi-final 1 done. We'll read you through the results in a split second. Very, very exciting race. Semi-final 2 coming up in a second. So different drivers, different cars. But the big decision now is, now that they've seen what's gone on circuit, slicks or wets is the big question. So let's guide you through the results. It's a win in race 2, semi-final 1 for Elite 2 for the number 3 RDV competition Toyota Camry of the Frenchman Ulysse Delso. Second place goes the way of number 90, which is the Brax Racing Ford Mustang in the hands of the Belgian driver Pedro Bonnet. He's a leading rookie home as well. Third was number 8 for Racers Motorsport, which was Nicholas Risitano, the Italian, at the wheel of the Ford. And fourth goes the way of another rookie, car number 2 for Alex Caffey Motorsport, the Toyota Kenko, the Toyota Camry of Murakenko, who finished in 4th place, the Japanese driver. 5th place is where we see number 77, Guillaume de Flandre for Memphis Racing. 6th place is the Toyota Camry for Cal Racing, number 4, which is the driver from Luxembourg, Gilles Linster. 7th place for number 91, it's another Brax Racing car, it's another rookie, it's Tom Bonham. 8th place for number 46, that's the Racing Total car of the German driver Justin Kuntz in the Ford Mustang. 9th place goes the way of number 31, which is the Blue Motorsport Chevrolet Camaro of Francisco Parli. 9th place for him, and completing the top 10, it's the leading lady home, the only lady in that race. It's number 33 for Michoud Motors, which is the Spanish driver Carmen Boix-Gil, who unfortunately had problems and did retire from the race, but she will still be classified on the basis that she got a few laps in and will be able to join, providing the car's okay, the final. So an interesting race, a mixture of the different manufacturers and the different nationalities,
yes,
all at the sharp end again.
Yeah, but we saw here that a battle can be fatal for everyone. Guillaume lost a lot of place during the battle, but I think he come back on a future race.
Fantastic that the questions keep coming in off the internet. One of the questions that's just come in is, how will the grid for the final be organised? As we're preparing for the interviews down there, so we might have to break off as we're trying to explain how the grid for the final will be done. Well, for the final, then the final will be set for what will be the 20 cars that will make it through to the final. So it'll be set with the top 10 cars from each semi-final advancing to the final. And for the final that we see today, it is going to be based on the fastest laps from the semi-final, but then with the...
I think is formed by so the two winner of the semi-final are classed by the best lap in qualifying, or in the semi-finals.
It's the fastest. It's fastest time from the semi-finals.
And then the first semi-final is in inside.
That's
the
correct.
Second one is in outside for the 10 first, and then the 10.
Let's hear from Nicholas Risitano, who's down there in the pit lane.
Now. So, Nicolas, great semi-final here in Elite 2. Yeah, you raced like it was a final, right? Great battle.
Yeah, for sure. Yesterday we had a problem with candle, my engine wasn't good, and today we hope in this good race, in this good comeback. And the car was very good. and now we hope better for the final.
And how was it to race in the wet with the rain?
Yeah, it's very good. You have a good feeling here, and I have raced with slick tires, so in first laps was more difficult, and after laps to laps was always better, and I'm happy for now.
All right, thank you very much. Congratulations, and we're going back to Mark.
Thank you, Andre. Great to hear from Nicholas Risitano. What a race he had. A very, very busy race. Just then to clarify is that the final will be set with the top 10 cars of each semi-final advancing to the finals. And pole position for today will be given to the fastest lap set in the semi-finals. So at the moment, Ulysse Delceau set the fastest lap in that first semi-final of a 17.568. Well, that's the fastest lap we saw in that one. If the conditions dry, Thomas, it may well be that Ulysse Delceau starts on the outside for the final rather than the inside, because the conditions may not be the same in both of these races.
Yeah, I think that the track is coming drier, so maybe some of the drivers could choose the slick tires. So we're gonna see on the pre-grid how they choose the tires.
Yeah, we'll have to try and hopefully we might get a camera shot that will just sort of show the sidewall of the BF Goodrich tyres that all of the cars run. Now, if some of them, interesting question now. Everybody, we're going to hear from another driver. Let's hear from Tom Bonin, who's down there in victory lane.
Tom Bonin here with me. Semi-final 1 in the Elite 2. Yeah, it was a tough one for you, right?
Yeah, it was tough because starting single file is not really something was in my favor today. I was a little bit unlucky yesterday, got knocked out of the race in the 4th spot, and so yeah, not really my weekend yet. Qualif was really good, but so far haven't been really lucky with my starting positions on the outside, and then the one time I'm on the inside they take a single file start, so not really happy this weekend.
Yeah, and how is it to race on the oval like here in Trust Speedway?
I love it. I love the oval racing. Just yesterday was just a safety car parade, so I hope today will be better.
All right, thank you very much, and good luck for the final. We're going back to Mark.
Great to hear from Tom Bonin. Yeah, we're just having an interesting conversation whilst that was going on with Thomas Ferrando, the reigning Elite 2 champion, who remains with us in the commentary box for the second semi-final. Then we'll have a different driver coming in for the final. We're just talking, all of the drivers there were on wet tyres. These drivers now coming out for semi-final 2 could be on slicks, which means the lap times might be quicker. That's likely to mean that Ulysse Delceau will not start from pole for the final. He'll start on the outside row, but interestingly, he's not put as much life through his slick tyres. So come the final, outside row, but a better set of tyres.
Yeah, that's maybe a good solution to Ulysse, because he could have fresher tyres to do the race. So being on the outside could be a good solution too, because he does really great starts since yesterday. So maybe the inside line going to have fresher tyres than the outside.
Well, there is the number 18 car getting ready for its semi-final, and that is Tour resident, which is Adrien Paviot, who I've got to say yesterday, I was really impressed with the pace of Adrien Paviot, who is the Formula 1 commentator here in France, and also really impressed with the way he managed to catch the car when he came out of, what was it, turn number 2 backwards.
Yeah, I didn't see the crash yesterday. I was too far from the crash, but Adrien is a good driver. He won the Caterham French Championship last year, so he knows how to handle the car, and we see it on track.
It was a bit like a J turn. He sort of got tagged, went the wrong way, was coming down the track backwards, and very quickly spun the steering wheel, got it back pointing the right way, hooked a gear and gone. Yeah,
he does it well. He learned fast. We see on track that he's a fast driver, so it's interesting to see new drivers and rookie drivers on track and be faster than everyone.
Yeah, it's the car that Adrien shares with Bobby Labonte, and he sampled, did Adrien Paviot, the late model earlier this year in the US, but is making his debut here, and he's actually going to commentate for the local crowd here, all assembled and enjoying the build-up to this second semi-final for the Elite 2. He's actually going to be commentating for them as well. Tom, just talk to us a little bit. Yourself and Ulysse were part of the NASCAR development program, and you've been out and raced in the US. So just talk us through, your experience and Beaumont Gray when you were there.
That's really close to 2 Speedway. There's in 2 Speedway there's yeah, there's banking, and in Bowman Gray is a flat one.
Yeah.
Only 400 meters in the Bowman
So
Gray.
even shorter.
Yeah, but more cars. And that's really interesting. I've learned a lot in the US. I love the atmosphere here. If I can come back really soon, I will.
And how important for you was it when you were sort of first brought into the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series that this sort of development program, driver development program, exists?
Yeah, of course. We've done some tests with Jerome when I was really young.
You're young now, crumbs.
Yeah.
How young were you when you first came in?
The first time I've tried NASCAR was 12 years old. I can't touch the pedal when I was.
I thought
in the
Ulysse
car.
was young at 14. Crumbs.
Yeah, and I was not strong enough to change gears. So Wilfried Brisena was just next to me and changed the gear when.
Oh wow!
So that was really interesting. And then I went to Bowman Gray when I was 14 years old on a modified car. And that was really interesting to start racing in those cars.
So what are you now? You're 20 now, right? 21? 20?
Yeah, I'm 21 in September.
Right.
And a lot of experience. I've learned a lot with the program, and I really learned to speak in English, to manage the fans, everything around the track, not only behind the wheels.
So you've certainly developed as a driver now. I think we've seen Ulysse develop as a driver as well. If you think back to when he was first here, and yourself and Jim Mark Workley had to help him open his champagne on the podium. He didn't need any help yesterday, did he?
Yeah, he does it well yesterday. He said that he learned from the few times, and but Ulysse has grown as a driver, but also as a man. We saw him change through the years, and that's really fun to see that he's a better driver.
I think it's wonderful to see a driver like Ulysse, because he suffers from autism, and the first interviews we did with him yesterday in English for the first time as well, and he's now getting the confidence, and as you say, he's becoming a man, he's maturing, and it shows in his driving as well as off track.
Exactly. A few years ago. He can't come to other drivers and talk like he does right now. So, it's really fun to see him come and speak with us.
Let's just go through the grid, because the cameraman's working his way down through the grid at the moment. We've seen Adrian Pavio. He will start from pole position. The all-black number 11 car of Felipe Rabello on row number 1 alongside him. Then it's the Go Fast number 32 car, Florian Venturi, alongside this car here that we're seeing on screen now, the number 37 Knauf Racing car, your car for Elite 1. So we need that to be in one piece, in the hands of Willy Bucena, a former champion back in 2009 was Willy Bucena. So the next row of the grid, the number 73 Knauf car of Paul Guillot will line up. There is Paul on board the number 73 Knauf car. That is actually Willy Bucena's car for Elite 1, so Willy drives in both, but drives a different car in each one of those, so jumps out of one seat and into the other. So there's Paul fully concentrating on what lies ahead over the course of this next 35-lap semi-final again. Same rules, 35 laps under green it has to be. Any yellow flag laps not included. We just keep going until we get 35 green flag laps in. And Paul Guillot is alongside this car here. Only races in Elite 2 this weekend, and a big thumbs up and a big smile from Pierluigi Veronese, who is the third of the rookies on the grid at the wheel of the BVR Motorsport Ford Mustang. The next row of the grid, it's number 78, which is for Brax Racing, the blue and the white car colour scheme in the hands of Thierry de Vert, who again is another driver who competes in both race Elite 1 and Elite 2. Brax Racing preparing 3 cars this weekend, the car of Pedro Bonnet and the car of Tom Bonham that we've just seen out competing, and alongside him is number 10, which is Stephen Young, British driver who took in 3 Xfinity races last year in America and is hopefully going to be a regular competitor in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. At the back of the grid, number 50, which is Dietrich Seissens at the wheel of the Hendricks Motorsport Ford Mustang, and alongside the only car that's really rolled the dice, and it's great to see, it's the Cal Racing number 54 Toyota that we're going to see in a few seconds time of Ariana Casoli, and she, I gather, Thomas, is the only car that has gone for slicks.
Yeah, it's maybe a good choice because she could have fresh tires for the finals. So maybe it's a good way to manage the semi-final and the final, and maybe do good results.
Oh, sorry, is she only one that's gone for wets? Is she? Because there are wet tyres on the side.
Yeah, she's wet.
Ah, right, she's wet.
And
the rest
everyone
of the
is yes.
Right, I got it the wrong way round.
Yeah.
Right, I didn't quite hear the radio message properly. So. Yeah, so yeah, as you say, interesting because she's saving the tyres for the final, so she could just sort of.
And she saved maybe also for Alan for the next races.
So, well, I suppose she'll save the car. The tyres won't affect because Alan will be on different tyres from when they get split, won't they? After qualifying.
We don't have to forget that we are sharing the car, so we have to protect it for the next.
Driver.
Yeah. So maybe it's a good choice to start in a wet race.
So this is just a 650-metre track. It is, well, just 4 turns, and the banking is 9 degrees. But this circuit has been developed over the years. When we first arrived here in 2012, it was a flat circuit. It's on an old car park, as you can see from all of the markings that are here in the Parc d'Exposition, in the eastern part of the city of Tours. 2012, just a flat oval. 2013, when we returned, well, with the input from NASCAR, and in particular Joe Balash, who nowadays is the Director of International Competition for NASCAR, Jerome Galpin, who runs and organises Team FJ, the organisers of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, and, of course, the local people here at Tours on the venue site. And then the banking was put in initially at turn 1 and turn 2 for 2013, but it was still flat at turns 3 and turns 4, and over the years it's now been developed into this fully banked circuit, but not a great deal of banking. I was quite surprised when I arrived at the circuit. It was, as I expected, better than I expected and faster than I expected.
Yeah, the thing is, it's really hard to drive on tour because the walls are really close to the track. We goes really fast at the outside of the track. When we go out, it's the walls come really fast, so it's really hard to handle it because we can't do test on it. But the fact that he's really bumpy is also hard to handle.
And we were chatting yesterday, but I think it's worth for anybody that didn't join the stream yesterday. Just 4 corners, short circuit, sounds easy. Physically very difficult, and in the temperatures yesterday, very difficult.
Really hard to handle because when you do road course, it's easier to handle the fact that you're turning right and left. But here you turn left all the time, and we find out that we have some problem on muscle sides. We have to train harder if we want to go to the US.
Bobby Labonte is very used to turning left. Yeah, he's very used.
Yeah,
there we go.
And he looks comfortable.
Signal is given for the drivers to start their engines. So those familiar words at the start of every NASCAR race. So drivers, start your engines, which means we are not far away now from the semi-final 2 for Elite 2. Now, let's not forget that, well, as far as we're aware, we've not heard anything other than 2x2 start for the moment. We will get confirmation whether it will be single file or not, so we'll wait and see when they go off the line. And we went fully green in that first race, Thomas, so we've not seen as yet the cone rule for this one, which means that, yeah, as we say, when we get a safety car restart, a couple of laps to go, cone goes in the middle of the circuit, and as we've named him for this weekend, Cone Guy will head out, and roughly where the man is in the red bib, that's where the cone would be placed, but that's turn 4 that we're looking at, so that's roughly where it would go. Dietrich Syerson's car is in need of a bump start by the look of things, the number 50 Hendricks Motorsport Ford Mustang. Hopefully that's not a problem, Thomas, for the car, because it's not started, has it?
Yeah, I think they're gonna start it with a push on the car, so we will see. But he has to start at the end of the field.
He's at the back of the field,
yeah.
So it doesn't affect him anyway. Yeah, so a bump start for that one. But yeah, if we do get any safety car periods, then 2 laps to go, cone placed in the middle of the circuit, and as we said earlier on, drivers have to decide 2 laps before we go back to green flag racing. Do they want the inside line or do they want the outside line? And well, they can choose at the very last minute, but they've got to decide before the cone, and when they decide, there's no changing. You roll the dice whether you want the inside line or you gamble and take the outside line and then hope that you can hang on to it either around the outside of turns 1 or 2, or you can get back down to the low side as soon as possible. Some drivers yesterday it worked for, Other drivers, it didn't quite work for them. They ended up losing a raft of places.
Yeah, all the drivers take it easily and choose really fast the inside lane.
Did you spot the gamesmanship yesterday? Because there were some drivers that were going as though they were going to the outside, at the last minute they jinked back.
Yeah, it's a normal thing in the US. When you have the cone room, they all do this. But I think it's hard to choose the inside or the outside.
I think if you're at the front, it's an easy decision.
Yeah,
at the
but
back, why not?
You have to take risks to be on front. I think it's a good advantage to be on front on the start, because when you have a gap, you have to put in there.
And that worked for you yesterday, because at one point you were a lap down, you got the free pass, and you came through and finished well up the order.
Yeah, I finished 7th, I think. That was a good solution to go on the outside. I always start on the outside. I always loved to drive on the outside. You are closer than to the wall, but it's easier.
And we could just see your car there weaving from side to side, the blue and the white one. With damage to the front from yesterday, I noticed that your team, it should have a proper Ford Mustang on the front. It's got a Ford Mustang, but one of your mechanics has drawn it on with pen.
Yeah, they drew the horse with the pen, so it's funny to see it.
It's a horse with horns, though, I noticed.
Yeah, they are no drawer. They are really mechanics.
So I'm not sure whether we'll get another. Have a look at it. Let's just have a look. It's the blue car with the light blue flashes. Sorry, the white car with the light blue flashes. It's not a normal Ford Mustang. There you go. Look right on the grille. You can see a great shot from the cameraman there. Yeah. So there is the self-drawn Ford Mustang on the front grille of that one. So 5 warming up laps again. 5 green flag laps. 5 warming up laps before we get the green flag lap, and lots of weaving from side to side. So we'll see as to whether Adrien Pavillot, Frenchman who lives in Tours, at his local circuit, on his doorstep, what he might be able to do in this race. That would be a real story, wouldn't it?
Yeah, a good story. I think. Oh, it's the last lap, I think.
Right.
And they start single flight too.
Yeah. So again, just a confirmation from the race director. It will be such a still tricky-ish conditions that we've got. So everybody gone for slicks other than Arianna Casoli, who's stuck to the wet. She's at the back, saving the tyres and considering the final for her, and saving the car for Alan Day, the reigning Elite 1 champion, who will take over that car for his semi-final and final, that of course will be streamed live later on. So green flag is about to wave. We went fully green for the 35 laps earlier on. We go green now, and it's a good start from Adrien Pavillot, who charges his way up towards turn number 1. Felipe Rabello sitting there in 2nd position, and Florian Venturi, a very quick driver there, in 3rd place. Your car, which is in the hands of Willy Bucena for this race, sitting there in 4th.
Yeah, this is really close. First of all, I'm a big fan of NASCAR. It's hard for me to be a neutral during a race where my car races. but I think it's going to be a great race. All the drivers on track are really fast. They prove it on the previous races. So let's hear what happens.
Yeah, let's see what happened already. We are just 0.3 of a second slower than the fastest lap, and now we're just 1/10 of a second slower than the fastest lap we had in race number 1, and the slick tyres haven't even got up to temperature yet, so it certainly looks as though whoever sets the fastest lap in this race will start from pole for the final. I think that is without question, and already we're there. Yeah, the lap that's gone in is, well, it's not quite actually, it's about 1/10 of a second slower actually, Adrien Pavillot's lap. That was a 17.57, 17.56 was the best that we saw in the race earlier on, so it's tight. I think this lap will mean that this will confirm pole position. Yep, does indeed go for Florian Venturi at the moment, but quicker further down through the order is Pierluigi Veronesi with a 17.52. So that means that doesn't matter what happens now, either way, pole for the final is coming from this semi-final, Thomas.
Yes, we saw that all the cars are really in the same time, so it's going to be hard to overtake, but if you do a mistake, maybe all the other drivers will pass you.
Arianna Casoli staying neatly out of the way. Forget not, she is on wet tyres, and therefore she was really knowing that she's going to have no choice but to go around at the back and stay out of harm's way. But critically, she is saving her slick tyres for the final later on, and that could prove vitally important as the temperatures potentially rise here later on as well. If we end up with the forecast we were expecting, 36 degrees today, I don't think we will, but that could be a really important decision for her in the racing team.
Maybe it's a good decision to take the wet tires, even if you don't take the lead or the win during the semi-final. The final is more important than semi-final.
So already Adrian Pavio starting to pull a bit of an advantage over the number 11 car of Felipe Rabello. This is a fight for the penultimate position. Dietrich Seyerson's at the wheel of the Hendricks Motorsport number 50 Ford Mustang, under pressure from the British driver Stephen Young, making his debut in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. So we've seen him out racing in America. We saw him racing single-seaters in the UK championship called Formula Palmer Audi many years ago. He was also racing in the Ginetta GT4 Super Cup for sports cars in the UK as well, but it's his first weekend of racing here, and I think it's the first time he's raced on an oval as well, because the races he did in America were all on the road courses. Great fight going on for second and third. The number 11 car from PK Carsport, Felipe Rabello, his Chevy is under pressure, isn't it?
Yeah. Florian Venturi is a really fast driver, but he has to be careful because he has the tendency to bump the people. So yesterday we saw him bumping the other drivers, so he has to be careful and don't take some penalties during the race.
Yeah, well, we saw a few penalties issued for a range of different reasons on the penalty bulletin that's issued to us. So drivers just need to be aware as to what they're doing. A little bit of rubbing is okay, but if you cause what is deemed as to being an avoidable accident, then penalties are issued, and subject to how severe you do something will really dictate the penalty. Ariana Casoli is about to be lapped for the second time, as now Florian Venturi is up the inside of Felipe Rabello and gains the place. And, well, that was perfect timing, really, just before the back marker. It looks as though Florian Venturi is through. He is the second rookie in the field now and is closing in on Adrian Pavio at the wheel of the number 18 Yako supported car. So can he go through and ahead of the Toyota Camry? He's got the pace, he's got the inside line, and he's going to squeeze his way through and pass. So Florian Venturi, great couple of laps from him, goes through at the wheel of the Mustang to lead the race.
Yeah, he stays clean and don't push anyone, so he does it well. I think he's the fastest on track, so he deserves the first place.
Yeah, I suspect now he will start to pull away a little bit from that RDV competition Toyota Camry. So Mustang leads, Toyota there in second place. Third place is going to be Chevrolet Camaro in third place. So three different manufacturers represented inside the top three. It's going to be, at the moment, French 1-2 at this stage. The Brazilian driver Felipe Rabello there in third place. It's French drivers fourth and fifth as well, with Willy Bousser and Paul Guillaume.
Yeah, Florian Venturi has set up the fastest lap on this lap, so we saw that he's really fast today.
That's a 17.190 second lap. Now, bearing in mind it's only a 650 metre circuit, goes to show the difference between the slick and the wet tyre. That is 0.4 of a second quicker.
Yeah, it's really close because it's a small track. If the track was bigger, I think we should see a bigger gap, but yeah, it's really close to wet tires and slick tires.
Yeah, no, I'm well actually surprised that it is 0.4. I thought it might be about that, maybe another tenth or so, but on a short circuit, that's still quite a difference between the slick and the dry tyre. Adrian Pavio is still sitting there in the number 18 car that he shares with Bobby Labonte over the course of this weekend, still there in second place, but it's a rookie 1-2 at the moment. Florian Venturi and Adrian Pavio ahead of the far more experienced Felipe Rabello at the wheel of the number 11 car, and there's more traffic to deal with. Again, it's Ariana Casoli who is just being sensible, is she not? She's staying on the high line, she's letting the quicker cars go through, using her mirrors and using her experience.
Yeah, she do it well. She don't block anyone on the track, so she's a really good driver.
She is a good driver. She is a driver that we've seen racing for a few years now. She's the Ladies Cup champion from 2016. There goes number 78, which is Jerry Zavert. He is behind Pierluigi Veronesi at the moment, the Italian, and they are fighting over what's going to be 6th and 7th places. Little battle that's going on, that one. We're almost now just 10 laps away as well, so we're 23 laps in. Florian Venturi leading by almost a full second now from Adrian Pavio. Once you build the advantage as he's doing, do you think you then might see him just ease off to save those tyres again for later?
Yeah, maybe. You should watch in his mirror, talk with him, with the spotter, and yeah, maybe save the tire for the final. So he has to control the race and watching his mirror and see if he can take the gap.
Good fight still going on as we keep seeing it between Pierluigi Veronesi and Jerry Zavert, the two Mustangs. The BVR Motorsport car still just ahead of the one from Brax Racing. We've still got also, by the look of things, well, there is our race leader Florian Venturi about to squeeze his way through past Stephen Young's car, so that's a lap now placed on the Racing Total number 10 car. There's more traffic here also for Florian Venturi to deal with, but he's built the advantage, and that is going to be the number 50 Hendricks Motorsport car of Dietrich Sersens, who moves out of the way and is allowing the Frenchman to go through. So that now passes the Belgian driver a lap down, who runs in both the Rookie Cup and the Legend Trophy in Elite 2. And so Florian Venturi safely on his way again. The gap between the pair often through the traffic. Himself and Adrien Pavio has just come down by 1/10 of a second, but not a great deal more than that. So safely having dealt with the traffic, Felipe Rabello in the number 11 car still there in third place as they put another lap on Adriano Casoli, who I would imagine now is, well, staying out of harm's way, but those wet tyres must be making the car move around one heck of a lot now.
Yeah, the car comes loose when you have wet tires on a dry track, so it's really hard to drive a car with wet tires. But Florian Venturi has to be careful because he's loose a lot inside the track, the turn.
5 laps to go. Yeah, the reasons the tyre warm up is because, of course, the blocks move around because it's a treaded tyre. The blocks move around, and that creates a lot more heat, which puts even more load into the tyres, which means that even more they come out of their comfort zone. And there's no dry line to even drop down onto because it's a banked circuit. There's no dry line to head down onto to cool them off.
Yeah, but I would say that on the outside, the
higher up, yeah.
Yeah, really high, near to the wall. The track will be wet, so.
But then you might be on the marbles, which might cause the car. It's
so
a very, very difficult.
So
one.
it has to be really difficult to Ariana.
It certainly looks as though Adrien Pavio, the number 18 Yako supported Toyota Camry, is now starting to come back under pressure a little bit from Felipe Rabello. His Chevy seems to be closing in, does it not? So the pair of them are separated, well, at the start of the lap by just 0.4 of a second, with really only a lap and a bit to go now. And well, the gap has come down to, just under 0.4 of a second, so it's almost there now, is it not?
Yeah, and if everything goes well, Florian will win the race.
Here he goes, the checkered flag is being readied. He's already received the white flag, and here comes the checkered. Florian Venturi wins semi-final 2 for Elite Through from Adrien Pavio in second place. Felipe Rabello coming through in third place, and because that was a drier race, means the lap times are quicker, which means if my reading of the regulations are correct, it was a 17.568 for Ulysse Delso in semi-final 1. It was a 17.190, the fastest lap in semi-final 2, which means Florian Venturi gets pole for the final.
Yeah. We'll start in a pole position for the final.
And that really was just the look of the draw. That, or you could argue that who starts on pole has almost gone back to where you qualified on Friday, which dictated which semi-final you came into.
Yeah, and I think if you start on the pole position in Tour Speedway, you have a lot of chance to win the race. So it's really important to start on the pole.
So you're looking forward to your race later on, Thomas?
Yes, we have to work on the car, to work on me too, and maybe to try to do some good overtake on the outside.
So when you say work on you, what does that entail? What does that mean?
I think that I have to take the gas earlier in the turn to be faster in the corner. So I have to work on myself to be as professional as possible, like the other one.
And I think it's so you sort of roll in the center of the corner, and some of that is the data that comes off the car. That you're only allowed to take, is it 10 channels of data off these cars? So there's only so much information that comes back electronically off the car.
Yeah, there is a lot of data that are analyzed during the weekend. So we work on that to be efficient on track and to be faster than Frederick.
And I suppose being a two-car team, you know, the system is restricted. Sorry, it's 11 channels of data acquisition. So you get lap time, you get acceleration, which is done via GPS. You get front brake pressure, rear brake pressure, throttle position, wheel speed, engine RPM, oil pressure, water temperature, oil temperature, and steering wheel position. So they're the 11 channels. And because you've got a two-car team, you can sort of overlay the data car by car, driver by driver.
Yes, that's exactly what we do on tracks. And then we have to work a lot out of the track. We have to analyze a lot of different.
Right, we're going to go to some interviews very, very shortly, and then hopefully in between the interviews we can guide you through the full results for that semi-final before the sort of graphics disappear from us. So we're going to be heading down towards the pit area, and the pit area here is not on the straightaways on the inside, on either the front straightaway or the back straightaway here at Tour. It's actually around the outside of the circuit, so beyond the concrete wall at turn number 1 and turn number 2 is where we see the pit area. So it means that it's not easy to do things like drive-through penalties if cars are involved with issues for the race director wanted to look at. It makes it different to some of the others. So the safety crew are out there preparing the circuit for our final, which will be coming up very, very shortly. And we needn't keep you either. If you want to hang around, by all means do. But it is rather warm in here. You can go and cool down if you wish, because we've got Luca Lasserre coming in very shortly. Tom.
Yeah. I'm gonna give the mic to Luca, but. One thing that I want to say is when you do a drive-through penalty during the race...
let's hear from Adrien Pavio.
Check.
Yep, so let's hear from Adrien Pavio down in the pit area.
Now, Adrien Pavio, Elite 2, semi-final 2. Yeah, you're a rookie here in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, and it looked very good. What do you think?
Not so bad for a journalist. Yeah, that's my very first race, very first time in the car. Yesterday not so bad with top 10 in quali, top 5 in the semi-final. I was 4 because before to get a penalty in the race, but yeah, so whatever. This weekend I do not talk about results. I talk about fun, and you see that duels with Florian. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. It's why we love NASCAR.
Yeah, and you're racing first time on the Oval too, right? And so, yeah, how is this to be as a driver on the track like this here to Speedway?
Everyone thinks that on normal you just have to flat turn. No, it's not how it works. It's really smooth on the gas, smooth on the brake. Even that car looks like a tank. It's not a tank. You have to be really tight with the steering wheel. It's not easy. You always have to feel the tires, feel the car, always adapt your driving. So not easy, but yeah, it's a lot of fun because every laps are different.
All right, thank you very much. Good luck in the final, and we're going back to Mark.
Thank you. Thanks, Andre. Fantastic to hear from Adrien Pavio there. What a weekend he's had. You were sort of going through something before we had to break there for the interview.
Yeah, about the drive-through. When you get a drive-through penalty, you go out and go through the pit lane, but it's about 2 laps for the other driver. So if you are in the lead lap and you've been drive through, then you are a lapped car. So it's really important to don't take any penalty during the race.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we did see a few penalties issued, a range of different issues for them yesterday. I can't recall I actually saw any drive-throughs yesterday, so I think we've sort of avoided them throughout the course of today. Yesterday rather.
Yeah, we saw really clean races, smart races. Some troubles with crashes, but I think that was really clear.
So thank you for joining us in the commentary box.
Thank you so much.
We'll let you go down and cool off outside. And great to see you. So there we go.
Thank
Ferrando, everybody, the reigning Elite 2 champion in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series.
Enjoy every race of the day, and maybe we should hang out on track.
All the very best for it. Thanks to Tomo Ferrando for joining us in the commentary box for our semi-finals for the Elite 2 division. We wish him all of the best in his semi-final and the final for Elite 1. The hat's just there, look. He nearly walked away out of the studio without his Stetson, and it wouldn't be Tomo Ferrando if he wasn't wearing a Stetson. So thanks to Tomo. We'll be joined by Luca Lasserre, a double former champion in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, or as it was called back then, the Race Car Euro Series. He was a champion from 2009 and 2010, Luca, and of course a bit like Tomo Ferrando, it's his home NASCAR Grand Prix. Frenchman, we tend to try and always get as many of the correct nationality in the commentary box for the races that we're covering as well. So when we go to Germany, guess what? We'll probably get some German drivers in the commentary box. And when we go to Zolder, well, we've got a plethora almost of Belgian drivers we could choose from for that one. But it always is good. You know, we we had Alex Sedgwick and Bobby Labonte in the commentary box. We can hear from another driver. Let's hear from Felipe Rabello this time, who finished third.
Felipe Rabello, third place in semi-final 2 in the Elite 2. How does it feel to be here in Tours and on the oval?
It feels good. The track is very slippery for the semi-final, so I tried my best out there. I made a small mistake and I lost second place. It's very, very hard to overtake here, so for the finals it's going to be very hard for me because I'm going to start 6th on the outside. But I'll try my best and see what I can do. Maybe I get lucky.
So how was it, the battle with Florian Venturi?
The bell?
The battle between you and Florian.
Oh, he was behind me, and I made a very slight mistake, and I went wide, and he put inside, and there was nothing I can do over there. This track is really hard because if you give a little bit of space, the guy goes inside, and you can't do anything about it.
All right, then good luck in the final, and we're going back to Mark.
There we go. So great to hear from Felipe Rabello. We may take the opportunity to catch up with one or two other drivers because there is just a short period of time in between the finish of that second semi-final before we can then start the final. Of course, the track will be inspected. Any debris will just be picked up. The drivers are out of their car, and as we saw yesterday, many of them taking the opportunity yesterday in what were hot conditions here. I mean, it's warm today, but it was blisteringly hot yesterday here in Tours. They took the opportunity to get out of the car. We saw many of them pouring water over their heads. We saw some of them putting ice packs onto the back of their necks to try and bring down their core temperature. But we are going to see, of course, a longer race this time through because we've had what are the 35 green flag lap semi-finals. So we count 35 laps, but only the ones that are under green. If we have any yellow flag laps or safety car laps, they do not count if they're under yellow. But the final is even longer. It's 50 green flag laps or a maximum of 30 minutes. And again, don't forget, laps under yellow don't count. This is where the main championship points are scored. 40 points available for a race win, 35 for second, and then it descends by 1 point for every position thereafter. Just wondering whether we might be able to, the race director might be able to pop up the graphic again so we could just run through the full results for that semi-final 2 that we saw Florian Venturi secure that victory on. So we might be able to get that graphic back up so that we can run through it, and then we will hopefully at some point be notified as to how the grid will line up for this final. Again, the cone rule will apply. We've not seen the cone rule today. So we've not seen Cone Guy, as he's been badged for this weekend, out there popping the cone. He has to sort of sprint from the centre of the circuit with the cone in hand out, pop it in the middle of the circuit and get back again before the cars run round. So he was a busy chap yesterday here in Tours. And let's not forget, whilst championship points are now very much up for grabs in this one, it's the last race this year for Elite 2 where it's 40 points for a race win, because when we go to Hockenheim for rounds 9 and 10 of the championship on the 15th and 16th of September, and then when we go to Zolder for the American Festival NASCAR Finals, which take place on the 20th and 21st of September, both of those, which means all 4 races that take place there for both the Elite 1 and another 4 for Elite 2 as well, double championship points available, so 80 points for a race win. So that really is the area where you then need, as we heard from Tomo Ferrando, who's now left the commentary box, where you need to be scoring consistent points. And if that means you have to give a place away and make sure that you finish and don't end up in the gravel trap, that's what you need to do. You've got to score consistently, because as we saw from Alan Day, the reigning champion in Elite 1, last year he really won the championship by scoring really good points in the final 4 races of the year. So that's where the championship really comes alive. So it's a 12-round championship. This is round 8 that we're going to see now, but there's just as many points available for those final 4 as there are for the first 8, the way that the maths work out. So the crowd enjoying what are slightly more comfortable conditions for them. There's not a great deal of shade available here in the Parc d'Expedition in the east of Tours City. The 6th visit of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, and well, we saw a race win yesterday in the final for Ulysse Delceau, and he therefore becomes the only driver in this on this grid for the Elite 2 final that has already claimed a win here at Tours, because all of the other drivers that have won here previously in Elite 2 at Tour have all either left the championship and moved on to other things, or have graduated, or we will see in the Elite 1 championship the likes of Stinis Longines in Elite 1, the likes of Gianmarco Ercoli in Elite 1, Fred Gabion in Elite 1 as well, as we now start to see the drivers getting ready. So there is Tom Bonham starting to put on the crash helmet and getting ready to clamber on board. Thumbs up from Tom. And, well, he, as I say, was going well yesterday, had really good pace at the wheel of the number 91 Chevy from Brax Racing, car that he shares with Mark Goossens, two Belgian drivers racing for a Belgian team. So come Zolder in the finals, they'll be looking for good things. But he had good pace yesterday, but then was involved in an incident which caused damage to the front end of the car. It sort of took one of the wings off. It took the front bumper off the car as well. He had to call into the pits and get the car sort of sorted because it was dragging the front bumper until he called into the pits and it was ripped off. And he came back out of pit lane but had lost 2 laps as a result. There is his teammate for Brax Racing. That is Pedro Bonnet, who we saw going very, very well in the first semi-final, finishing in 2nd position in the first semi-final. We'll see what position that will give him on the grid, subject to the lap time that he posted. He finished 3rd overall in the Elite 2 final yesterday, which was his first overall podium as well. So congratulations to Pedro Bonnet for what either way has already been a great weekend of racing for Pedro. And he was the first of the rookies home as well in that one, so we saw him head on to the podium for the Rookie Cup as well. So it's not just the overall championships for Elite 1 and Elite 2. There's a range, there's 6 other championships within the Elite 1 and the Elite 2 championship. We've got the Nations Cup, which is established by scoring at each race and each nation the points of the highest classified finisher. We've got the Junior Trophy, which is for drivers 25 and under at the beginning of the season, but that's for the Elite 1 drivers. We've also got the Challenger Trophy that we see in Elite 1 as well, and that's for bronze or silver categorised drivers racing in Elite 1. And then for the race that we're about to see, 3 separate trophies within this race. The Legend Trophy, which is for bronze drivers aged over 40 in this race, and there are several of those that we've got out there. This race will also include the Rookie Cup, which is for drivers entered into the Elite 2 Championship in their first season of racing in the series, and we've mentioned those. We've also got the Ladies Cup, which is for women entered into the Elite 2 Championship, and we have separate podiums for all of those. So the crowd are taking their seats, ready for the start of this first final of the day here at Tour, and, well, they have got just the best view. You can see, as you can expect on this 650-metre oval, you can see the whole circuit. So from the commentary position, we can now start to hear the engines being fired up on the cars as they then start to head out onto the grid, ready for the ceremony that will build up to the start of this NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. Final race for Elite 2, just getting strapped in on board the car there. That looks like Felipe Rabello. So that's the PK Car Sport number 11 Chevrolet Camaro in the hands of Felipe Rabello, who finished 3rd in the championship last year. Felipe, he's had not a bad start to the season. He has claimed a win. That was at Franciacorta in Italy, Autodromo Franciacorta, for round 3 of the championship. He was 2nd in the 2nd of the races in Franciacorta. We also saw him finish on the podium the first of the 2 races at Brands Hatch in the UK last time out, but very sadly he lost a bit of ground in the championship because he couldn't start the 2nd of the 2 races. His car had been involved in an incident whilst being driven by Stinis Longines in the Elite 1 race there, and it was so badly damaged that, well, he couldn't take part, so that was a non-finish for him. The one good thing is that the regulations do allow each driver a joker, which means they can drop their lowest points scoring race of the season. Now, on the basis of its double points for the finals, those lowest points scoring races are likely to come in the first 8 races, so you get rid of your worst score from that one, providing that you're not excluded from the race. And we do have one driver who at the moment is going to have to count an exclusion to his tally, and that was poor old Alan Day, who after one of the Elite 1 races in Franciacorta, there was just a very slight technical issue with the car, but unfortunately the rules were the rules and he was excluded from that one. So we'll see as to whether he can sort of do what he did last year and mount a challenge when the double points come into play. So I would not absolutely rule him out, but we're not going to see him in this race because he's going to be out in Elite 1 later on. You can see the pit crews are now leaving the pit area. The cars are being wheeled out onto the start line. There is Felipe Rabello, the number 11 car. We just saw the brief onboard with him. There goes number 37, which is the car that we've seen Willy Bucena driving, the 26-year-old, who was the champion back in 2009. The number 44 car there as well. There goes Guillaume de Flandre's number 77 machine, the Toyota Camry. Number 2, Kenko Miura heading out onto the circuit. The number 27 BVR Motorsport Ford Mustang of what will be Pierluigi Veronesi, the 29-year-old rookie, heading out onto track as well. So they're all now starting to get ready for round 8 of the Elite 2 Championship here at Tour, with now for the first time today the sun starting to come out. We had cloud cover this morning which had a few spits of rain, then the rain came down, which was actually quite a heavy shower or burst of rain for what, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Warm ambient temperatures though have meant that the circuit has dried very quickly. Already you can see the heat haze on the tarmac over to the left hand side of your screens, and it does now mean that now the skies are starting to clear and the temperatures are getting warmer, which means that for those cars that raced in the semi-final, the first of the semi-finals that we saw on wet tyres, they have now their slick tyres on board that have done less racing laps, and that could be something that's well worth watching in this final race, because in the semi-final too, other than Arianna Casoli, everybody was on the slick tyre, so those tyres have now done more work. So it'll be interesting to see how this pans out. So the car's being rolled out onto the circuit. Coming into this weekend, the championship was tied at 188 points to Wilfried Bucena, who will be driving the number 37 car in this one. He was jointly tied on points with the number 24 PK Carsport car of Guillaume Dumoulin. They were on 188 points each, and Guillaume de Flandre, who is driving for the number 77 Memphis racing team, he at the wheel of his Chevrolet Camaro was just a further 3 points adrift, so the top 3 separated by 3 points. But whereas Willy Bucena had a few issues yesterday in his race, Guillaume de Flandre had a spin but kept the car out the wall and recovered. You could argue that they were quite lucky, because for poor old Guillaume Dumoulin, the car was damaged in the Elite 1 final yesterday when being driven by Anthony Kumpen, and he has not been able to take part in either of the races this weekend, so that is really going to affect his championship score. So there is Ulysse Delceau, the number 3 car that claimed victory in his semi-final and won the final yesterday here in Tour. Now what can he do on the 650 metre 9-degree banked oval here? A driver which really has come on over the course of the last year. He starts on pole position. Such is the grid that has now been issued to us, and alongside a thumbs up from the leading rookie in the field. But the outside line, it's going to be for the Go Fast Racing team car of Florian Venturi. Of course, Go Fast Racing both on this and on the other side of the Atlantic as well, and it's great to see teams coming over from the US to compete in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series here in Europe. Row 2 of the grid, number 94 Brax Racing, which was Pedro Bonnet. He's got the inside line. He's had the pace this weekend. Thumbs up and a fist pump from Pedro Bonnet. He'll be hoping for good things, but it's French drivers on the front row of the grid. Pedro Bonnet on row number 2, joined by this driver here. We heard from him, Adrien Pavio, at the wheel of the number 18 RDV competition Toyota Camry. So we've got, what, 4 French drivers in the top... 3 French drivers in the top 4 positions. Row 3 of the grid is the first of the Italians on the grid, which is the number 8 car of Nicolas Risitano, who gives us a wave and a thumbs up at the wheel of his Racers Motorsport Ford Mustang, and alongside him it's number 11, which is the Brazilian driver Felipe Rabello, who drives with his glasses on, always with one of those nose clips on as well to aid the breathing for the Brazilian, who is a race winner this year, of course. Let's not forget Felipe Rabello. His car is being run by PK Carsport, the Chevrolet Camaro. The next row of the grid, number 2 for Alex Caffey Racing, it's the Toyota of Kenko Miura, the Japanese driver, who is fully focused on what lies ahead of him. We will also see him out racing that very same car in the Elite 1 race later on. And alongside Kenko Miura on the outside of that row of the grid is number 37, which is Wilfried Busenna. Wilfried Busenna sitting there at the wheel of the number 37 Knauf car. The next row of the grid, so Willy Busenna now safely behind the wheel and ready to go. The next row of the grid is number 77, which is going to be Guillaume de Flandre, coming into this weekend lying third in the championship, just 3 points ahead of the tied drivers, the cars of Guillaume Dumery sitting there. But of course we won't see Guillaume out in this one, so Guillaume de Flandre on that row of the grid. Alongside him it's another one of the Knauf cars, which is going to be the number 73 car of Paul Guillot. So another Frenchman sitting there at the wheel of his car. A big smile and a thumbs up from Paul. We work our way down through the grid, a much bigger grid for this one, of course, because we've got all of the top 10 cars from each of the semi-finals on the grid. It's the man from Luxembourg for Cal Racing, the Toyota Camry in the hands of Gilles Linster. So that's the number 44 car, the 24-year-old who finished 9th in the championship standings last year, did Gilles Linster. And alongside him, it's going to be the number 27 car for BVR Motorsport, which is Pierluigi Veronesi, who always gives us a big smile and a kiss as well from Pierluigi Veronesi. Let's see what he might be able to do at the wheel of his Ford Mustang. On to the next row of the grid. That's where we see number 91, Tom Bonen, rookie in the championship this year. Tom has had the pace over the course of this weekend, but just hasn't had the luck, unfortunately, and he's got a bit of work to do sitting there further down on the grid. It's the team owner alongside him, which is Jerry Zavert, another driver that races in both Elite 1 and Elite 2. Jerry on board safely, the number 78 Ford Mustang, the reigning legend champion from last year and the year before as well. On to the next row of the grid very quickly. We can see that Justin Kuntz is there, the German driver, the number 46 car being run by Racing Total. And, well, for company on that row of the grid, just to his right-hand side, to driver's right, is going to be car number 50, another rookie in the championship, which is car number 50, Dietrich Seissens, who had a few issues yesterday, had a couple of spins, brought out the safety car on a couple of occasions, which meant that we did see that sort of cone rule apply. And then the last few rows of the grid we will give you, before we introduce our guests in the commentary box, it's next row of the grid will be number 31, which is Francesco Parli. His car, you can just see it towards the tail end of the grid. It's light blue but had an orange stripe down the centre of it. Francesco Parli, who was the leading rookie in the final, the leading legend trophy driver in the final yesterday. He's got for company number 10, which is the second of the Racing Total cars of Stephen Young. The next row of the grid, which is going to be the final row of the grid for the cars that are out there, are going to be the two ladies lining up, which is car number 33 for Michoud Motors this weekend, which is Carmen Boix-Gilles. And alongside, it's the other driver that is competing for the Ladies' Cup this weekend, number 54 for Cal Racing, Ariana Casoli. So that gives you the full grid for this one. And joining us in the commentary box is a double former champion in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. Thank you for joining us. I've got Lucas Lasser alongside me in the commentary box. Lucas, welcome along to the commentary box, and the final for Elite 2 coming up.
Yeah, hello all everybody. So I'm here just with a few minutes too late because
don't worry.
We had with Carmen a little mistake on the Elite Elite 2 semi-final. So we had the trouble and we rebuilt the car, the rear especially. So I hope that this race for Carmen will be better.
So drivers, start your engine. The signal is given. You can see just the Whelen lights flashing on the very top of the safety car at the bottom of your screen. So everything good then with Carmen's car now?
Yeah, it's okay.
Carmen was saying something that was quite interesting yesterday. Is that it's the same team that's running her, but it's a different car this weekend. But Carmen is not particularly tall. You're a very tall chap, so she was struggling with something as simple as seat belts yesterday.
Yeah, we just adjust the seat because it's possible to have a different position, about the seat, and we put a lot of I don't remember. Padding, up and behind, So it's okay. His seat, the Carmen seat now in position is okay. So we work a lot of time yesterday, but it's okay.
So you're 190 centimeters, and Carmen is
sure.
150. Yeah. So Tour Speedway, you will have raced it previously? Or is this your first weekend of racing Tour on the current format?
No, it's the first time here.
So your thoughts on Tour as a circuit, because you're experienced driving NASCARs, these Whelen Euro Series cars. Tour as a circuit, you like it?
Yeah, it's completely different about the road track. So we need to work differently with the brake pedal. and let the car roll, you know, in the middle of the turn, and then put slowly the throttle. So it's completely different. If there are bad things, it's just we have just one lane, and it's very, very, very difficult to overtake. So it's for that the race are very, very difficult, strong. The restart are very, very important. So it's important to stay on the pack and wait the good time.
So the cars are on their 5 warming up laps, so 5 laps to warm things up. Cone rule in operation this weekend. Is that something that you think is a good idea, the cone rule?
Yeah, I mean, because it's like in rallycross, the Joker lap,
yeah,
you know,
sure.
So I mean, it's possible if you have a problem in the first part of the race or in the middle of the race to have a Joker and to test eventually outside line. Outside line is like is risky, but we can win a lot of places. So I mean, it's depend about your place. If you are 14, you know, 15, you can try to be at outside lane, you know. So security is inside.
Quick question for you: semi-final 1, cars on wet tyres. Semi-final 2, cars on slick tyres. So those that used wet tyres in semi-final 1, they have a slightly fresher set of slick tyres on now. Do you think that might be important towards the end of this race?
Yeah, I mean, especially to the front right wheel.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's yeah. But the track position here is so important. So if you start first and you don't a mistake, it will be very, very difficult to overtake.
So we can see weaving from side to side just to try and build whatever temperature they can build into these controlled slick BF Goodrich tyres for this year. Same compound of tyre that we used last year, but it's a different manufacturer that we're using this year of BF Goodrich tyres. Of course, the cars use a raft of different chassis and suspension components by Moog, who've, I know, got a lot of guests here joining us this weekend that are thoroughly enjoying the racing as well. 1 to go is the signal from the starter before we then get this race underway. Not heard confirmation as to whether it's single file start or whether this is a double file start. It is 2x2. We've just had confirmation. It is 2x2 for this start. So for the likes of Florian Venturi, you can now see them getting into 2x2 order. For Florian Venturi, he's on the high side heading up into turn number 1, as is the light green and black number 18 Toyota, being run by RDV Competition of Adrien Pavio. It certainly looks as though we've got 3 French drivers inside the top 4 here at the start, and bumper to bumper, Pedro Bonnet is keen to get on with this one. He's making sure there is no daylight between himself and the tail end of Ulysse Delso. We go green up towards turn number 1. Florian Venturi on the outside line. It looks as though Justin Kuntz just washed out a little bit there. No, it's Felipe Rabello washed out a little bit as they went round through turn number 1 and 2, but everybody safely through the first corner. Ulysse Delso already very quick. We've seen that car very quick out of the box on every lap. And is that going to be a change further down the order? No. Nicolas Risitano tried to squeeze his way through and ahead of Florian Venturi, who sort of was untidy coming out of turn number 4 there and was under pressure. But Ulysse Delso, quick first lap again from that Toyota.
Yeah, Ulysse is very, very quick since the first practice lap. So I mean, RDV have a very, very strong car with Gabillon and Ulysse, so it's good for Ulysse, I mean.
Yeah, good for Ulysse, who claimed victory in yesterday's final, who at the end of just a few laps of racing has already built up a 0.8 of a second gap between himself and Pedro Bonnet in second position for Brax Racing, the Belgian driver. Third at the moment is the Go Fast Racing Ford in the hands of Florian Venturi. Fourth place is Nicolas Risitano ahead of Kenko Miura, and then the number 77 car of Guillaume de Flandre. But Kenko Miura, the number 2 Alex Caffey Racing Toyota, looks as though it's got a problem there, Luca.
Yeah, I mean, he had a technical problem because he was 5th and he stopped the car, so it's a bad news for Alex Caffey.
Yeah, it's the only car that Alex Caffey is running this weekend, so for poor old Kenko Miura, he has dropped down through the order. And yeah, he's tumbling down through the order, so he must have gone to pit lane at this stage. Here is Guillaume de Flandre. He's in 5th place at the wheel of the Memphis Racing number 77 car, but under enormous pressure from Willy Bucena. We've seen 2 wins for Willy Bucena, but both of those came on the road course at Autodromo.
Caution.
Caution, right, okay. So caution is out. So that was at Circuit Ricardo Tormo where we saw his wins. Caution out. Didn't see the reason why the caution was out, though, Luca. So must be something out there. Maybe a bit of debris on track. Don't think we've had a spin. We didn't spot any cars, but caution is out, which means now this is the first time because both of the semi-final. Right, there it is. Oh, poor old Pierluigi Veronese is in the wall by the look of things. So the BVR Motorsport car has gone into the wall, and looking at what's gone on there, you can see some marks in the tarmac before he's gone into the wall, as though something has happened before the contact with the wall.
I don't know exactly what's happened before the contact with the wall, but we mean the marks on the ground and the lock, a lot of lockup. You know, he lock up the front wheel. So I don't know if he tried to overtake and he had understeer, because it's very difficult to keep the speed in the middle of the track. So if you brake too late, you can have a lockup, and if you have a lockup, you have understeer, and understeer you are on the wall.
And then of course, you hit the marbles, and it all sort of goes from there. You can say it looks as though he's sort of locked up, and he's been, as we would call it in the UK, cadence braking on and off the brake to try and stop the wheels from locking. So
it's a bad news for Alex Caffey, because BVM also work with Alex Caffey, so the team lose two cars in 2 laps. So 2 strong cars. Pierluigi did a very good race yesterday. Can go again. So bad news for Alex.
Very bad race for Alex Caffey. So Pierluigi Veronese just chatting to the safety crew here whilst we remain under full course caution at Tour Speedway. Worth pointing out, this is the final. This is scheduled to be a 50 lap race, 50 green flag laps, as now we can see thankfully climbing out of the number 27 car is Pierluigi Veronese, the Italian driver, rookie in the championship. So now that we've gone caution, it will no longer be a 50 lap race. We will add on these safety car laps, so you will see the number of laps begin to climb all of the time, and hopefully we will not get to the maximum of 30 minutes, which is what is allowed for this race. So the cone rule will apply. We've not seen the cone rule in action because we went green flag in both of the semi-finals. So once the incident is clear, when there's a couple of laps to go, coming out of this corner here, which is turn number 4, Cone Man, as we've affectionately named him, will run out and place a cone in the centre of the circuit, and then each driver in turn, with 2 laps before we go green, has to decide to either go to the left of the cone, in which case if you go to the left of the cone, that means you are on the inside line, the low side for turn number 1, and if you go for the high side, well, you're on the outside line for turn number 2. But it's the driver's decision in conjunction with the spotter as to what to do. The drivers at the front are all going to go to the low side. Some further back will roll the dice, go to the high side, hoping to gain some places.
Yeah, I mean the first 4 or 5 laps, 5 cars, sorry, will stay inside lane. So because it's not risky, it's a good approach, and we can keep a lot of speed, you know. So I mean, after that, the 8, 9 place, sure, the driver will test outside.
I think we saw that. I think we saw one driver yesterday was 12th going over the line, and he was the first driver to go for the outside lane. So 12th to the front row of the grid, 2nd place for the restart, gaining lots of places. Who do you think will go to the outside? A couple of names that you think might try and go for the outside?
I mean, Rabello try outside.
Felipe Rabello, he's down in 9th.
Yeah, Rabello, maybe Pavio, because Pavio is a shutout. So if he want to try one thing, it's now. Linster again. Yeah. So Parley or De Veer, Jerry. So I mean, it will be good.
So, yeah, have a guess at home as well. Have a guess. There's no prize available. There is, for the winner of this race, €2,500 available, but there's no prize available. But have a guess. I'm going to guess on 2. I agree with you. I think Felipe Rabello will do it, but I'm going to look further down. Tom Bonham, number 91, 17th, is going to go for that outside line. True. And number 46, Justin Kuntz, who is a couple of laps adrift but still circulating, I think will go for the outside line as well.
Sure.
So,
sorry, Mac, but I haven't got the money, you know. If you want to take my money.
I'm not a gambling man. No, I'm not a gambling man. No. Amazingly, I left all of my euros at home. I picked up the wrong wallet. I've arrived with dollars. I've arrived with money if I was in Dubai for UAE, but all the dollars are at home in a separate wallet. Silly man. So no. We will wait and see, but have a go at home as well. Keep your questions coming into us as well. If you've got questions about the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, then send them to us. We will try and field them if we can during the commentary. If not, then we will respond to them online afterwards. And do make sure that you follow us on Facebook and on Twitter as well. And if you do that, we will get reaction from these drivers, hopefully after the race down in Victory Lane. But we will do some brief interviews, sort of 60, 90-second interviews with the overall winner, with the winner of the likes of the Rookie Cup and the Legend Trophy and the Lady Cup as well. And we'll post all of those on social media, just small clips that you can see if we don't get round to chatting to all of the drivers in Victory Lane afterwards. So there goes Coneman. Look, Coneman, are we going to see a surprise from Coneman? Yes, we do. A little surprise, a little dance from Coneman. I gather we're going to see that in every time, and each time it's going to be subtly different. So here we go. The cone is out.
One inside.
Who's going to go which side?
Second inside, third inside, you know, 4 inside, 5th inside. I mean, Bosna outside, took North car outside.
Yeah, so that's Paul
Now Pavio stay inside again.
Gilles Linster goes outside. Yeah. You said Gilles Linster would go outside. Francisco Parli goes outside. Tom Bonnet goes outside, which was my guess.
You know
yeah. So they will now, of course, what will happen now is that the cars then choose the inside lane or outside lane. Was there another dance from Coneman there? Did I miss it? I like Coneman. I like him a lot. He's our new friend. One to go is what's going on from the starter. We will break social media with Coneman by the end of this weekend, I guarantee you. So once you choose that outside lane, the cars move up as far as they can. So as you can see now, number 37, which is Willy Bucena, who was circulating down towards the bottom of the top 10, all of a sudden finds himself under the cone rule on the outside of the front row of the grid. And the key to it is getting a good start, hanging on through turn 1 or turn 2, or your spotter talking to you and telling you you're clear to get down to the near side again.
Yeah, it's the spotter had the priority, you know.
Yeah, critical for the spotters. Again, Pedro Bonnet, bumper to bumper with the tail end of Ulisses Delso, which is the right way to start. We get the race back underway. We go green once more. Ulisses Delso looking to try and hang on to the lead of the race. But Willy Bucena is going to jump, I think. Is he Pedro Bonnet here for second place? There's a little bit of contact as Pedro Bonnet tries to get through. Willy Bucena having none of it. Sheds the rear bumper. There's bodywork and debris up at turn 3 and turn 4 at the moment. There's more at the exit of turn 4. And all of that was because Willy Bucena was so desperate, understandably so, to get back to the inside line, but he's still on the high side and is now losing places. Damage to the front end of Pedro Bonnet's car. You can see that he still sits there in second place. Willy Bucena trying to make the high line work for him, but he's losing places all of the time. And Pedro Bonnet's car, contact between himself and Florian Venturi. Bonnet goes into the wall backwards. Florian Venturi gets away with it, but other drivers have to take to the tarmac in avoidance. We're going to go back to caution again, Luca Lasser, and that was, again, Florian Venturi tried to get up the inside. The door was closing, and Bucena ends up backwards in the wall.
I mean, it was too tight. Pedro Bonnet did nothing bad, you know, and he had a lot of, you know, contact. So it's bad news for Pedro. I mean, the 32 cars tried to overtake, but it was too tight and too difficult, you know.
Yeah, so Florian Venturi, a driver who came into this weekend lying 4th in the championship standings. He took a win last time out at Brands Hatch. That was his 4th visit to the podium so far this year. His others were all 3rd places, a couple of those at Valencia and another one at Brands Hatch. But Pedro Bonnet clambering out of the rather battered number 90 car, and I hope that's just sort of bodywork which is making the tail end of that car look bad. It sort of seemed to hit the wall flat backwards, so hopefully that's repairable for Alex Sedgwick, who is scheduled to drive that car in League One.
I mean, if the wheel or suspension are okay, it's okay. Just after that, the bodywork. But it's very important to check if the chassis is okay and suspension, you know.
Yeah, we've already lost 2 cars, haven't we, with chassis damage. We lost poor old Francesco Cini, who that was on Friday in free practice, where he had some sort of failure with his car. Pedro Bonnet jumping out of the car, and I think just feeling a little bit battered and bruised, is he, from that one?
I mean, Pedro have a problem with his leg, so he took the time to breathe, you know, and touch his leg. So I mean, he touches, you know, the chassis with his leg.
Yeah,
very hard.
Yeah. So Yeah, well, he will end up with a bit of bruising after that one. And as we said, we've already lost 2 cars this weekend. Francisco Cini had some sort of mechanical issue with his car in free practice, which pitched the car straight into the wall and did chassis damage. So he was on his way home on Friday after that problem. And we lost the number 24 PK car sport car of Anthony Kumpen, as we saw on, if you were with us at the beginning of the programme, we looked at the highlights from yesterday, and a very nasty accident actually for him, because he hit the wall, but he hit it where it comes out of pit lane exit at 45 degrees, which is the worst possible accident here, isn't it, really, for Anthony Kumpen?
Yeah, Anthony was, it was incredible. The impact, the impact was terrible.
Yeah, nasty. Thankfully, the good thing is he was out of the car immediately.
Yeah, sure.
But the car was done for the weekend. So a little bit of debris to pick up, the car to recover as well of Pedro Bonnet. So thankfully Pedro out of the car and just having a little bit of a bruise. We can see the marks down the wall, can't we? Yeah, chunks of concrete missing out of the wall as well. You can see all of the rub marks where the incidents have occurred over the course of this weekend. But so thankfully driver out, Pedro Bonnet and okay. Florian Venturi back in the pit lane, and has he got back out yet, Florian Venturi? I think he is still sitting in pit lane currently, 4 laps adrift now. Is he? Ulysse Delso is leading. Nicola Risitano now, the Italian, the rookie, who went really well in the semi-final. Not sure if you're watching the semi-final. Worked his way up through the order. Is now second at the moment.
Yeah, the race is long, so it's very important to stay relaxed and take the time, So call again yellow, call yellow,
Yeah.
So it's important to stay out the trouble and to keep your car safe. And after you will have opportunity. It's just 24 laps since the green light, so we have time again.
Yeah, and you won't be able to see on your screens because the graphics aren't showing in the bottom left-hand corner, but on the base of we've now had yellow flag laps, then the race distance is extended to a minimum now of 61 laps. That will still climb because we're under caution here, so there are more yellow flag laps being added in reality, because we need 50 green flag laps to occur before we see the end of the race, or 30 minutes, whichever comes first. And we might have a little bit of reordering, but once we get the reordering sorted, we will hopefully then get the cone rule back in place and try it all again. But drivers that use that cone rule to good advantage, whether it works out or not when we get the reordering, we'll wait and see. But Willy Busenna chose the go on the high side, up to 4th at the point we went back under caution. And Tom Bonan, who was 17th, up to 6th if we don't have any reordering. So it worked for them if they stay where they are, but there might be some reordering, Luca.
Yeah. I mean, for Tom, it was a very good opportunity because he was very behind, and with this the second crash after 2 laps, he won a lot of of place. Sure. So I mean it's possible, and it's very important if you are 19 or 18 and we decide to choose the outside line. So I mean, now Rabello, if I am Rabello, I will try outside.
Yeah, Felipe Rabello is the all-black number 11 car that was just heading towards the shot there. There's our race leader, Ulysse Delso. The red car is Nicolas Risitano, the Italian at the wheel of the Racers Motorsport Ford Mustang, that's second. Third is number 77, the Memphis Racing Chevy, that will be, of Guillaume de Flandre at this stage. And 4th in the queue was the first of the Knauf Racing cars, the number 37 car of Wilfried Busenna. Now, they're in the process of fixing the number 32 car quickly, and well, let's have a look. He is 8 laps adrift at the moment, Florian Venturi, so he needs to hopefully keep his fingers crossed that he will be able to get back out there. After the clean-up, 2x2 restart, race control said it's going to be, again, the last crash is what they're expecting. So, yes, they are hoping now that we're going to go clean for the rest of the race. Let's hope so, because we did see a few races yesterday, yours in Elite 1 with the big accident, and Elite 2, where it sort of interrupted the racing with too many safety car periods, really. Yeah, it's a little bit too many. Since yesterday, it's a long period under safety. Yeah, so it'll be the last 2x2 restart. If we have another safety car period, it may well be that we just go single file then to get the race in, and we did see that yesterday as well. So I think they are going to go single file for this restart for Elite 2. We'll wait and see, because it means that we won't have the cone rule applying. All right, there goes Cone Man. Let's look for the dance. Here we go. A dab from Coneman that time through. And I suspect there'll be a different one when Coneman recovers it in another lap's time. So here come the cars again. My bet is going to be Justin Kuntz and Jerry Zavert are going to go. Well, looks as though Willy Bussen has gone for the high line again. And that is Justin Kuntz gone for the high line.
Rabello
as well, yeah. So, yeah, Jerry Zavert's gone for the high line. I thought he would. Arianna Casoli and Justin Kuntz, yeah. So we're picking the right ones here. Let's have a look at Coneman. What's he going to do? Oh, nothing. Disappoint us that time through. No dance from Coneman. So there will be one lap to go this next time through. Now, interesting that Willy Bussen, who was lying fourth, has gone for the high side again and gone for that outside line, Luca.
I mean it's risky. So I don't know if it's a good choice now, you know, because Willy was 4, and at 4 it's a good opportunity to finish, you know, 3 or 2, but outside he can lose more place.
He can, yeah, because he needs to consider where the number 77 car is of Guillaume de Flandre, because those two, in the absence of Guillaume Dumery, whose car is out for the weekend, are the guys at the sharp end of the championship coming in to the racing here at Tour. Looks as though Francisco Parli at the wheel of the light blue car on the left of your screens is bump drafting Felipe Rabello along as they went over the start-finish line. Nicholas Risitano is going to sneak up the inside and take second place away from Willy Bussen. It looks like Guillaume de Flandre in the Memphis Racing number 77 car is also going to squeeze his way through. And now the two Knauf cars are running side by side. Paul Guillot has the inside line, and there's still nowhere for Willy Bussen to go. He's still on the high side as Felipe Rabello sneaks his way through. Rabello went to the outside line, but got down to the inside quicker.
Yeah, he won 2 places. Willy won lose 2 places.
Yeah, so that's the gamble. That's the cone rule for you, and I like it. I think every driver we've had in here likes the cone rule. I think it adds something very different to oval racing here in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series.
Yeah.
So race continuing at this stage. See the race distance in the bottom of your screens now up to 74 laps to enable us to get in what will be 50 laps of green flag racing, which means we've got 24 under caution in reality. And there is the rear bodywork Leska car of what is Willy Bussen, sitting there in 6th position behind the PK Car Sport number 11 car in the hands of the Brazilian Felipe Rabello. And, well, he is looking to try and see whether he might be able to carve his way through here. All of this time, whilst Ulysse Delceau, our race leader, is pulling away. That car this weekend, the number 3 car, has been the one to beat. And fastest lap of the race, it goes his way. He's just completed the new fastest lap in this race, and he just keeps putting in the quick laps, Ulysse.
I mean, it's now it's a good time to put all on the table, you know. So to use all the grip of the tires, and yeah, Adrien Pavio is inside.
We're trying to get up the inside.
With Linster.
Yeah, Gilles Linster. Yeah, didn't quite work,
yeah.
But he's going to have the run.
It's okay.
Yeah, out of turn 4, he's got the run. And Gilles Linster from Luxembourg needs to try and get back down to the low side before Dietrich Sayerson squeezes his way through. But the Hendricks Motorsport Ford Mustang is going to go through as well. So that's a difficult thing. If you're offline, one car comes through, the next one very quickly follows through as well.
Yeah, if you lose 1 meter your apex, it's finished, you know.
Yeah, so you just can't get back down to the low side. There is the number 31 car of Francisco Parli, and he is currently going to be leading the Legend Trophy at this stage, but look to his mirrors. I think that was Jerry Zavert that was right behind him, so they'll be fighting away for honours on the top step of the podium in the Legend Trophy. The Legend Trophy for bronze drivers aged 40 and over. So fight's continuing on track. Look at the fight that's going on for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th position. Nicholas Risitano at the front of the queue, Willy Bussen at the back of the queue, and with 41 laps in total completed of what is scheduled now to be 74. Looks as though that's a good fight form, doesn't it? But it's so difficult to overtake. What do you do at this stage of the race? You've still got plenty of laps to go, so you don't want to risk it, but you're stuck in a queue and want to move on.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to let a little bit more space between the car in front of you, you know, and to attack, you know, and not to be stopped by the car in front of you. So it's very important to let, for example, 5 meters, you know, before the turn,
yep.
and to arrive very quickly, let the car roll, you know, and put flat out. If you are too close, you are stopped by the car in front of you.
Yeah, you have to react to him all of the time.
It's impossible to overtake.
You're driving to his groove and not to your own groove, aren't you? So yeah, absolutely. So you just need to, as we hear there from Luca Lasser, just leave that little bit of gap, brake as late as you can, and then try and roll the car through the corner, pick up the throttle as soon as possible, and propel yourself out of turn number 2 or turn number 4 down the straightaways. Here is, by the look of things, Jerry Zavert fighting away. He's not actually behind Francisco Parli. Looks as though Tom Bonin is. So that means that Francisco Parli in 7th place, the number 31 car, the light blue car, will be leading the Legend Trophy. Nicholas Risitano is leading the Legend Cup in 2nd place, and the leading lady that we have is down in 13th in your car, Carmen Boitschil, leading the Ladies' Cup currently, as now the traffic is coming into play here. Ulysse Delceau leads the race and has, thankfully, daylight between himself, so he's got 4.3 seconds. He can pick his time going through the back markers if they don't move out of the way. Justin Coutts is the next of the cars which is going to be dropped off the lead lap. He's carrying a little bit of damage to the left rear of the car, moves out of harm's way, allows our race leader to squeeze his way through. Here's the fight further down through the order. Francisco Parli heading Tom Bonin, then Jerry Zavert, then Adrien Pavia. There's a locked brake in there somewhere, and that is Tom Bonin now. He locked the brake. Did he make contact with the wall, Luke? I'm not sure he did.
It was very, very close. I don't know if he touched the wall, but it was very, very close, you know.
Good job to keep it out of the wall, because we just saw the puff of smoke, didn't we? And yeah, and that's the amazing thing. It's such a fine line that you're driving to around this circuit. You know, at 30 centimetres too late. There's a big spin for Dietrich Seyersens heading out of turn number 2. Rotates the Hendricks Motorsport Ford Mustang through 180 degrees. Thankfully, he's spun to the inside of the circuit, and hopefully we'll be able to rejoin, and indeed, yeah, we'll rejoin on the circuit. Say you break 30 centimetres too late, the consequence is way worse than 30 centimetres.
Yeah, it's very, very delicate, because we work on the road track to brake very late and very hard, and here it's totally different. You know, it's the other side.
Well, now that we've had that issue for Tom Bonin as well, who kept the car out of the wall, the fight that we were just looking at was for the lead of the Legend Trophy. There it is now, the number 31 car in hands of Francesco Parli, fighting away with Jerry Zavert for the lead of the Legend Trophy. This is going to be for 7th and 8th places overall, and there's a bit of smoke there again. That's Tom Bonin's car. Caution, is it?
Caution.
Right. Caution's out, so yeah.
Yeah, it's an example. For example, the 31, Francesco Parli, did outside the last restart.
Yep.
He decided to choose outside lane, so he won a lot of places, and now it's 7. But his pace is slower than the guys
behind him. Yeah,
behind him. So he took a very good restart, and it was like a little hold up, you know.
So, yeah, it looks as though the car that's going to get the free pass is going to be your car, being driven by Carmen Boitschil. So she'll get herself back onto the lead lap this time through. And, well, interesting to see then as to which line. So you get the free pass, you get the lap back, you get yourself at the back of the queue. Why then not choose the outside line when we are heading towards the end of the race? It's a gamble worth taking, is it not, if you're at the back?
Yeah, if Carmen decided to choose outside lane, she can win a lot of places, you know, and a lot of row.
So
but you have a little bit more risk.
It is that's the problem. It works sometimes. It doesn't work all of the time, and if it doesn't work, you end up. Well, there are 2 risks. You end up going back to the back of the pack again because you can't get down to the near side, or, as we've seen on a couple of occasions, you end up in the wall.
I mean, inside is better because I have my race
safer.
after.
Yeah, I know. You will be thinking about your car. I know full well. Yeah, the same as Tomo Ferrando when he was looking at the semi-finals earlier on was making sure that Wilfried Busenna kept the car in a good level of repair for his race.
Yeah, I told to Carmen before the race to stay all the restart in inside lane, because I mean she did P9 yesterday in overall.
She did,
and it's the race is very, very long. There are a lot of the trouble and a lot of good guy out. So I mean it's very important to finish the race and to to stay inside. Inside is a better lane. the safe lane, and it's important to stay until the last lap.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've seen a lot of good guys out, as you say. Yeah, Kenko Miura is out, Pierluigi Veronesi is out, Pedro Bonnet we saw go backwards into the wall, and Florian Venturi, who was involved in that incident with Pedro Bonnet. That the officials will look at that and decide as to what needs to happen. That's not our job to do that, but he has not rejoined either. So we saw him head into pit lane, but that car has not come back out.
You know, the last restart, Busna decided to choose outside lane, and he lose a lot of place. You know. So I mean, it's difficult if you are the first outside lane, you know.
Here comes Cone Guy again. Right, here we go. We're going to have the cone rule this time. We've had a dab, we've had a bit of a jiggle and a dance as well. What might we get this time from Cone Guy if this is the lap in which we are going to have the cone rule applied? He's waiting patiently. I don't think we're going to get it though on this lap. There's still a bit more reordering being done at the moment, so we will keep our eye on Cone Guy as we remain under full course caution here for Elite 2 Race 2 final. Of course, we will be back live on the stream for the Elite 1 semi-final 1, semi-final 2 and the Elite 1 final later on. And whereas for the winner of this race it's €2,500 check, for the winner of the Elite 1 final it's a €5,000 check. And let's also not forget, the driver that leads the Elite 1 Championship after this weekend at Tour will be heading over to Canada in August to compete over there in one of the NASCAR Championships. And the best team, the leading team, which I think is, I haven't done the math as yet, but it's RDV Competition, will be heading to demo their cars up the hill at the Goodwood Festival of Speed in the UK in August. There goes Cone Guy. Right, let's have a look. What's going to happen this time? Right. This time he has to run very quickly out of the way, so there was no time for that. Guillaume de Flandre doing what we've seen a few cars do. Who's going to the outside?
Rabello, Parley, outside.
Bonnet,
Leinster.
And Seyssens. Yeah, so Felipe Rabello every time has gone to the outside, has he not?
Yeah, I mean...
And Carmen Boitschild doing what you said she would do, yeah. So she listened to you. So no dance from Cone Guy that time through, which means we are now one to go this time round before we go green.
The thing is, for Rabello, he was 6. Now he start on the front row. If he lose, 3 or 4 position, he will win 2 places, you know.
Yeah. So we'll wait and see whether it works for the all-black Chevrolet, the number 11 car being run by PK Carsport, because he lines up alongside the number 3 Toyota Camry from RDV Competition. Then on the second row of the grid, it's the red car of Nicolas Risitano, and will then Francisco Parley, who, let's see what he might be able to do, because he was leading the Legend Trophy. He's now going to have a few more cars between himself and the car he was doing battle with in the Legend Trophy, which is Jerry Zavert, who under the cone rule has chosen the outside lane. So here we go, we're about to get the race back underway once more. Ulysse Delso thumps the throttle. A little bit of twitching from Felipe Rabello as he got on the throttle, and that is not a bad restart. Further back though, there's a little bit of contact, a little bit of rubbing with 3 wide, and it looks like Tom Bonan has been tagged by Willy Busenna, and that's caused damage to both cars. They all keep going. Adrien Pavio has to take to the inside of the circuit in avoidance, and Felipe Rabello, as we go back to caution, just reacts that little bit later than Ulysse Delso, so he was flat out going round through the corner, and rather than dive on the brakes, the sensible thing to do is blend off the throttle and retake your position, because he sort of reacted later. And Willy Busenna, twice a race winner, and the man who was jointly leading the championship coming into this weekend, is heading towards pit lane.
Yeah, sure. It's a little bit too tight. It's very important to stay and not take the risk, because we have we have a championship, you know, and it's important to score points. So I mean for De Flandre stay 3, all the restart inside lane, and for this championship it's important to score points, you know. So it's a lot of joke if you decided for the contender for the title outside lane, because it's possible to lose all the season, you know, all your season in one race.
Well, I sort of stood beside you whilst you were having a conversation in French to Guillaume de Flandre yesterday, and my pitch in French was picking up on exactly that. Yeah, conversations that you're having, offering your advice to a younger driver with all of your experience.
Yeah. I told to Guillaume yesterday, it's important to score points, take let the space, you know, with the other car, and score points. Stay here. If you lose 1 place or 2 places, it's just 2 points. It's nothing. But if you don't finish the race, you lose 40 points. So So it's not the same, you know.
Yeah, absolutely, and that becomes even more important when we head towards the to Hockenheim and Zolder, where it's double points.
Yeah, sure. For example, if I take my example, I finished 6th yesterday, but I lose just a few points about okay, Gabillon is very fast here and it's not possible to compete against him, but I lose just a few points with Day, but I just lose 4 points. And I'm P2 in the championship. So I mean, it's very important to score points at each race and each event.
I'm not going to pronounce that, but Hugo, how do you pronounce the surname there, Luca?
Beke? Hugo Beke.
Is the cone guy, right? He wants the outside lane, does he? Is that what he's trying to do? He would choose the outside lane. Is that what he's saying? Right, okay. So Hugo, our cone guy, would choose the outside lane if he were the driver in this one. It's the message that we're just receiving. Cone guy's making a star of himself this weekend here. So very brave chap. Had to dash out, get that cone out, and run back before Common Boyd Gill came round. So it's, you know, the officials do a fantastic job, and they've all got a job to do, and different jobs to do around the course here, and cone guy is not a job I would want. You've really got to be on it, run out, put it there, and come back in. So, you're right. You're absolutely right. You've just had a message called cone guy. It's riskier being cone guy than it is taking the outside lane at the restarts. I absolutely agree with that statement. Yeah. I would rather go for the outside lane than be cone guy. Would you not?
So now, I don't know exactly how many laps before the finish line, but I mean 10 or
yeah. Well,
10.
We're 68 laps into this race. The last update was with all of the yellows, it would go to being 74 laps before we could get 50 green flags in. But we are under caution here, so in reality, that number of 74 will continue upwards until race control decides that we're probably running out of time. We did see some races go the full distance in terms of the number of laps under green. We saw other races go to the time allocation, which is 30 minutes for this final. So we're just reordering the field currently, having had one caution and the next caution following very shortly afterwards. We have to go back to the original order that they were in for that restart, because we didn't have sufficient numbers of racing laps before the next caution arrived. So a little bit of reordering just being done, and then once we have got the reorder done, we'll see whether we are going for a 2x2 restart or whether caution after caution after caution, as we saw in one of the races yesterday, we go single file for one of the restarts in the League 2, which did happen yesterday.
And now it's very important to keep the tires and the brake on the temp, on the good temp. So I mean, it's possible to be the last or to have the last restart. So I mean, it's very important to keep all in the good temp and to choose a good lane for eventually the last restart.
Absolutely. If it is the last restart, then that's the last sort of roll of the dice, or the last chance you can do to think, right, I'm going to settle for the points, I'm going to do the safe thing, I'm going to take the inside line. The number 10 car, which is going to be the car that will get the free pass this time through, that is Stephen Young, who gets the free pass and will get himself back onto the lead lap of the race. And here he comes now. You can just see him working his way past the single file order. There he goes, just scooting past the black car through the shop now. He'll go to the front of the queue behind the safety car, and when he gets the nod from the race officials, that information will go to the spotter. The spotter will relay it to the race driver, and then he will be allowed to overtake the Chevrolet safety car, go round and join the back of the Crocodile, having got the lucky dog or got himself back onto the lead lap. And there he goes now. So we should, hopefully, next time through, I would imagine, we might see the cone rule apply again, and cone guy head out, ready for what I'm hoping will be the final time. 72 laps in. The race distance has now gone to 83 laps, so we've had 33 laps of caution to try and get 50 green flag laps in. That's quite a few, is it not?
Yeah. I mean, again, on board, the temp will be for the drivers very, very high, and it's too hard. When the car is slow like this, you know, under safety, you have a lot of temp, you know, on board. It's
the engine, the gearbox,
yeah. Exhaust.
Single file restart we gather this time. Single file restart, and it's a green-white checkered is what we're going towards. So there's just going to be 2 more laps of racing to decide who is going to win the 8th round of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, but it will be a single file restart, which for Ulysse Delceau means that is probably a very, very good thing indeed, is it not? For Nicola Risitano, he could be on for a rookie win here because he's going to line up second, Luca.
Yeah, I mean the first 4 will stay inside. I don't know exactly because Parley, like a joke.
Single file restart.
Single file,
yeah, they'll all be on the inside. Yeah, they'll all be on the inside. So Nicola Risitano's
yeah,
already had a couple
more
of
safe,
wins in the Rookie Cup. So here we go. It's a green-white checker. So green flag this time, white flag next time, checkered flag the time after. And we go green for what will be, without question, the final time now here for round 8 of the Elite 2 division of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series 2018. Through turn 1 and turn 2. Good restart again, I've got to say, by Ulysse Delceau, who is already building daylight between himself and Nicolas Risitano, who is under pressure from Guillaume de Flandre. There goes the white flag. So he's 650 metres away from claiming the 3rd win for that same car. Contact further back, which was Tom Bonan, was involved in something further back down through the order, but Ulysse Delceau is on to make it 3 wins out of 3 for the number 3 car here this weekend. 1 for Fred Gabillon yesterday, 1 for Ulysse Delceau, and another one today for Ulysse Delceau. He comes through to claim the win and is going to go away from here, well, not 2,500 euros better off, but because he won yesterday, 5,000 euros better off, Luca. That's not a bad payday for a young man.
Yeah, I mean, for ADV, it's a good, it's a good weekend. So his car are quick, is quick and safe. He won all the prize money. Is a good weekend for the Team LGV.
Yeah, it's been a perfect weekend for them. Don't feel as though you have to hang around. If you need to go disappear off, don't worry at all. But we'll thank you in advance for joining us in the commentary box. We'll guide you down through the order very, very shortly. You can see it in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. But just to confirm, it looks as though, where was Carmen in the end? She was
P10.
P10,
it's okay.
And won the Lady Cup as well.
Yeah, it's okay. So 2 victories for us. So it will be okay. I would like just to tell one word to Mirko Schultes. Mirko is my team owner he's Michu Motors team owner. He lives in Florida with his wife and Claudia and Charlotte, his daughter. So a big welcome, a big thanks. All is okay, Mirko. The car is okay. And don't worry, I will do the job safely for my race.
Will we see Mirko out? Because it's great to see Mirko out racing previously with us in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. Will he come out again? We've seen him race occasionally, have we not?
Yeah, I mean, Mirko will be back eventually at Hockenheim.
Good.
So with the second car. But it's important to tell, a big thanks to Mirko, and I take carefully about your car.
And it's in one piece for your race as well later on.
So thank you so much, and hope my race will be okay.
Thank you for joining us in the commentary box,
Thanks,
Luca.
Mark.
We wish you all of the very best indeed, and he's going to head outside, look very cool in his Mavi sunglasses as well in a few moments' time.
Thanks a lot.
So just to confirm the results then, Ulysse Delceau claims the win, and that's his 2nd win at his home NASCAR Grand Prix here in Tours. And the 2nd goes the way of the leading rookie home as well, Nicola Risitano, with his 3rd win in the Rookie Cup so far this year for Racers Motorsport in the Ford Mustang. So it's a Toyota wins, it's a Ford in 2nd place, and 3rd place is number 77, the leading Chevy home for Memphis Racing, Guillaume de Flandre, a driver that was 3rd in the championship coming into this weekend. He's going to leave here having closed the championship gap on his main rivals, and we haven't done the math, but he's going to be absolutely right at the sharp end of the Elite 2 championship as we head towards the first of the final meetings at Hockenheim. 4th was number 73, which is the Knauf racing car of the Frenchman Paul Guillaume. And 5th place was the 2nd of the rookie homes, number 31, which is Francesco Parli. That confirms that he will also win back-to-back Legend Trophy podiums and top flights of those podiums as well, finishing in 5th position, just ahead of the car that was 6th home and 2nd of the Legend Drivers home, which is for Brax Racing, the Belgian driver, at the wheel of his Ford, Jerry Zavert. 7th was number 11, Felipe Rabello, at the wheel of his number 11 car, which is the Chevrolet Camaro. And 8th place was the Toyota for Cal Racing, number 44, Gilles Linston. 9th place for number 18, local resident here, Adrien Pavio, who will be commentating on the final Elite 1 race for the huge crowd that's assembled here in downtown Tours. And 10th place, the first of the Lady Cup competitors home for Michu Motorsport, Driving the number 33 car that our friend Lucas Leter, who's now left the studio, will be competing in the Elite 1 race, but Carmen Boit-Gilles finishes in 10th. 11th place was number 10, Stephen Young. 12th was number 91, Tom Bonen. 13th was 50, which is Dietrich Seissens, ahead of the 14th place car, number 51, Ariana Casoli. She was off the lead lap, as was Dietrich Seissens. 2 laps off the lead was number 37, Willy Busenna, who was joint championship leader coming in this weekend, so that's put a bit of a dent in his title. But let's hear from our race winner down there in Victory Lane.
Ulysse Dessart, winner of the second final of the Elite 2. Now 2 oval race wins in a row. How do you feel?
It's really unbelievable for me because it's the first time I win 2 races consecutive, and I'm really happy for this weekend. It's a big day for the team. Thanks to Claude Galopin and all my team and all my fans to support me.
All right, congratulations. We're going back to Marc. Ulysse Dessart, the winner of the Elite 2.
Great stuff. So that's his 3rd win in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. He'd only had 1 win coming into this weekend. Well, now he has double that. And he will stand on the top step of the podium in his home country, and he'll be a very proud young man as well. But of course, the team could be on for a clean sweep here if Fred Gabillon can repeat that feat in that very car in the Elite 1 race that will be coming on later on. So Ulysse Dessart claiming the win. Nicola Risitano claiming his 3rd rookie win of the year. For Carmen Boit-Gilles, that's her 6th win in the Ladies' Cup this year. And for Francesco Parli, who's the leading Legend car home in 5th place, that's his 2nd win in the Legend Trophy. So lots and lots of action to come, and reaction we will gather from the drivers after this race. Hopefully a few more drivers we can chat to down there in Victory Lane as well. And we repeat this whole thing for the Elite 1 Championship later on, the Elite 1 division, where we see semi-final 1, semi-final 2 and the final as well. And we're due to have more drivers joining us for that one later on I think it's going to be Florian Venturi who's going to come in just for the finals. We won't have a driver in the commentary box for the semi-finals, but we will have Florian Venturi, who we have seen sadly not finish that race. The number 46 car is not going to claim a finish in that race. He will get points, but he was 25 laps adrift and didn't take the checkered flag. But Florian will join us for the final for the Elite 1 race later on. So the celebrations will go on in Victory Lane. We will gather some thoughts and some reaction from the drivers, and they will be posted on social media over the course of the next hour or so. But that's it for the moment from Tour. If you're watching the stream in Central Europe, or Central European time, we're back online on the build-up to the Elite 1, first of the semi-finals. We'll go all the way through semi-final 1, semi-final 2, and the final before we finish here for the day. We go live at 3:15 p.m. Central European time, or if you're watching us in America, thanks for joining us. You've had to get up very early for this one. Go to bed for a few hours, have some breakfast, and get back up 9:15 a.m. Eastern time for some more racing from Tour. Goodbye for the moment.